Chapter 12:19. Jiang Chun had been thinking about Mu Yude. He did not expect to receive news of Mu Yude as soon as he turned around. However, Mu Yude was in the Western Star region, which was very far from the Eastern Star region. It was impossible to determine his exact location. If he went to look for Mu Yude rashly, not only would he not be able to find him, but he would also cause a lot of trouble. Moreover, he was about to participate in the Star Region Academy battle. Jiang Chun did not have time to look for Mu Yude. "Help me spread the news that I'm in Tongtian Garden," Jiang Chun said. "Right now, there are already quite a few people guessing your identity. After all, you have no background, and you suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Many people are suspecting you," said the Crown Prince. "So what? Are you evil races willing to let me die?" Jiang Chun joked. As he spoke, Jiang Chun forced out a few strands of essence blood and gave it to Prince and the others. "This is enough for the evil races to protect me, right? Of course. You are a priceless treasure to us evil races. How can we not care about you?" Jiang Zixio hurriedly took the essence blood with a serious expression. Prince was the same. As an evil race, he knew that the ominous substance in his body could not be removed except for Jiang Chun's essence blood. If Jiang Chun died, the evil race would most likely be doomed. "Then I'll help you spread the news. At the same time, I'll ask the elders in the race to come and protect you secretly," Tai Hao said. "Okay." Jiang Chun nodded. Then he asked about Jiang Lu and the others, but there was no definite news. In the end, Jiang Chun left and went to a mountain peak alone. He calmed his mind and prepared for the Star Region Academy battle. Time passed. 2 days later. On this day, Hong Yin came and called Jiang Chun, Mu Zhu, and Lin Hao. Then, with his extraordinary cultivation, he tore through the void and left. From the Eastern Star area, they traveled through the void. After about 30 minutes, they walked out of the void and landed on a huge square. As far as the eye could see, there were all kinds of living beings standing around. There were emperors overseeing the place, and there were also extraordinaires standing in the air looking down. Jiang Chun looked very carefully. The creatures in this square were in 2s and 3s, or in groups of 4 or 5. In front of them was a flag with the name of the academy written on it. All of them are emperors. Jiang Chun was shocked as he looked at the disciples of the academies. Without exception, the ones with the lowest cultivation were all emperors. As for him, a godly monarch, standing here, he was just like those extraordinaries. He was especially eye-catching. Bang! At that moment, Hong Yin waved his hand, and a flag with Tongtian Court engraved on it appeared in front of him. Then, he rose into the air and looked down at everything. After all, he was a transcendent, and there was a difference between him and a normal person. They were high and mighty, overlooking everything in the world. There were very few things that could move them. But this time, it was obviously different. One had to know that in the great thousand world, the number of famous extraordinaires could be counted on one hand. However, Jiang Chun roughly estimated that there were at least 7 or 8 extraordinaires in the training hall today. This meant that for this Star Region Academy battle, many extraordinaires who had hidden away from the world had appeared. This is the Central Star Region, which belongs to the Holy Sky Dynasty. The place where we are is the square of the Holy Sky Dynasty. When Mu Zhu mentioned the Holy Sky Dynasty, a trace of reverence flashed in his eyes. The Great Thousand World was divided into 4 major star regions. However, at the place where the 4 star regions were connected, there was a special place, and this place was the Central Star Region. As for the Holy Sky Dynasty, they had monopolized this place with their own strength. Many top forces even came to worship them. The foundation of such a dynasty was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. In particular, the Holy Sky Academy established by the Holy Sky Dynasty was said to be the strongest among all the academies. The Royal Lord of the Holy Sky Dynasty is said to be the most promising person to break through the extraordinaire realm and become a celestial. Lin Hao said, "As long as the Royal Lord of the Holy Sky Dynasty is still around, the Holy Sky Dynasty will not collapse. It can be said that he is supporting an entire dynasty by himself." Mu Zhu said. When Jiang Chun heard this, he could not help but look up at Han Yun. If he were to compare the supreme heavenly palace and the holy sky dynasty, who would be stronger? Han Yun seemed to have sensed Jiang Chen's gaze and thoughts. At this moment, he looked at Jiang Chen and smiled faintly, his eyes filled with confidence. Looks like the supreme heavenly palace is not weak either, Jiang Chen muttered. At this moment, there was a commotion in the distance. Everyone looked over and saw three people in long black robes walking towards the training hall. In front of them, there were people trying to stop them, but they could not stop the three of them at all. This was because among the three of them, there were two extraordinaires. With two extraordinaires clearing the way, how many people in this world would dare to stop them? Court of the Night, don't go overboard. Today is a battle between the academies. Only people from the academies are qualified to participate. The Court of the Night belongs to the sex and is not qualified to participate in the battle between the Star Domain academies. A few guards blocked the way in front, but they kept retreating and did not dare to stop them. In response, the two extraordinaires were full of contempt. With a wave of their hands, they directly attacked and sent the guards of the Holy Sky Dynasty flying. Arsene has also entered the academy before, so he is naturally from the academy. One of the extraordinaires said, "Why can't we participate in the battle between the Star Domain academies?" TSK, what kind of stupid rule is this? The Court of the Night wants to participate. What can you do? Ask the Holy Sky Emperor to come out. Let's see if he dares to say no. The other extraordinaire raised his eyebrows arrogantly. Around them, many people looked on coldly, especially the extraordinaires in the air. At this moment, no one spoke. After all, this was the territory of the Holy Sky Dynasty. Even if something happened, it was not their place to intervene. And Yi, and Ming, long time no see. You are still as arrogant as ever. At this moment, a young man with rosy lips and white teeth appeared in the air. He was wearing a yellow dragon robe. Following his appearance, the two extraordinaires of the Court of the Night, and Yi and Ming, had a hint of fear in their eyes. This was because the young man was the Holy Sky Royal Lord, who had single-handedly supported the entire empire and dominated the central star field. Holy Sky, we are not here to cause trouble today. We are only here to bring our disciples to participate in the battle. Dark Knight narrowed her eyes and pointed at Mu Xingyun behind her. Our holy son also joined the academy before, but he was expelled. Oh, since he was expelled, he is not considered a member of the academy. Naturally, he is not qualified to participate. The Holy Sky Emperor smiled and said, "Both of you, please go back." The rules of the battle between the Star Domain academies have been set for many years and have never been broken. Chapter 1220. The Court of the Night was notorious in the Great Thousand World. Mu Xingyin had been hunted down many times because of this. Moreover, he was expelled from the academy because he was the holy son of the Court of the Night. Now, he could not participate in the Star Sector Academy battle. However, the Court of the Night was unhappy. They were about to participate in the Star Sector Academy battle, but their holy son was expelled at this juncture. How could they not cause trouble? However, the rules of the Star Sector Academy battle were as such. No matter how talented or powerful you were, as long as you were not a disciple of an academy, you could not participate. Of course, and Yi and Ming had thought about this before. They were not here to cause trouble. They were here to find an academy for Mu Xingyin to join temporarily. As long as he joined the academy, he would be able to participate in the Star Sector Academy battle. If he was lucky enough to win, he would be able to enter the Great Thousand Graveyard. Everyone, I and Ming will say this today. If any academy is willing to accept Mu Xingyin as their holy son, the Court of the Night is willing to be on good terms with Ni Chong. That's right. And Yi nodded. However, the Court of the Night was notorious. Who would want to be associated with the Court of the Night? Moreover, the academies that had come to participate this time had all sent out disciples with a strong foundation. If they accepted Mu Xingyin now, it would be equivalent to replacing one of their best disciples. This was not appropriate, right? One should know that Mu Xingyun's cultivation was only at the ultimate god realm. If he participated in the Star Sector Academy battle with such a cultivation, wouldn't he be cannon fodder? They couldn't even be considered cannon fodder. For a moment, no one agreed, and the scene became extremely awkward. Even in Yi and in Ming, two extraordinaires who had lived for countless years, blushed slightly at this moment. As for Mu Xingyun, he had already covered his face. It was too embarrassing. Come to my place. However, all of a sudden, a playful and light voice rang out. Everyone was stunned. They turned around and saw Jiang Chun waving at Mu Xingyun. This fellow is also here to participate in the Starfield Academy battle? How dare a F** King Divine King participate? Everyone was dumbfounded. Previously, they all thought that Mu Xingyun's cultivation was the lowest. They never thought that there was an even lower cultivation hidden here. Stop messing around. I was expelled by Heavenspan Court. Mu Xingyun's face darkened as he said, if they didn't expel me, they probably wouldn't have let me participate in the Starfield Academy tournament. Even if you fire me, I can still add you back. What's there to be afraid of? Jiang Chun laughed. Why? If you're with me, do you think you won't be able to get first place? Your cultivation is too low. It's even lower than mine, Mu Xingyun said snappily. He was also depressed. He knew that Jiang Chen's talent was extremely high and could even be called monstrous. However, this fellow's cultivation speed was ridiculously slow. Of course, he didn't know that Jiang Chun was very diligent in his cultivation. However, because he cultivated the Heavenspan Scripture and Tiger Soul skill, most of his divine power was used to shed his spiritual body and nurture his tiger bones. As a result, the increase in cultivation base was naturally much slower. However, this didn't mean that Jiang Chun was weaker than others. I think so too. After all, cough cough. No one wants you now, and Yi muttered. She glanced at Mu Xingyun and asked, what do you think? What else can I do? No one wants me. If I want to participate in the Starfield Academy tournament, I can only return to Heavenspan Court. Mu Xingyun smiled bitterly. Can you represent Heavenspan Court? And Yi looked at Jiang Chun. Was there no one else in Heavenspan Court? Why did they send a godly monarch to participate in the tournament? Moreover, Mu Xingyun had been expelled by Heavenspan Court. Now, Jiang Chun could make Mu Xingyun return with just one sentence? Even if he really returned to Heavenspan Court, but could he let Mu Xingyun participate in the Starfield Academy tournament? In any case, and Yi and Ming didn't believe it. In response, Jiang Chun looked up at Hong Yun and asked, can I make the decision? Up to you, Hong Yun said softly. He didn't agree or disagree. When everyone heard this, they were dumbfounded. What was going on? Was a godly monarch really in charge of Heavenspan Court now? Lin Hao, you can leave. Let Mu Xingyun do it, Jiang Chun said to Lin Hao. You won't be of much use if you stay anyway. As soon as he said this, Lin Hao almost exploded in anger. I'm useless as an emperor, but he's useful as an ultimate god. However, this time, Heavenspan Court didn't have any strong disciples. There was no hope of winning, so Lin Hao didn't want to participate. Just like that, Lin Hao walked out of the square with a dark face. Mu Xingyun came to Jiang Chen's side. What a weirdo. 3 people, a godly monarch, an ultimate god, and an emperor. Just like that, they still want to participate in the Starfield Academy tournament? Are they here to embarrass themselves? Mocking and disdainful voices sounded one after another. No one was optimistic about Jiang Chen's side. Even Hong Yun shook his head, secretly thinking that there was really no hope of winning this time. If Lin Hao was here, there would still be a glimmer of hope. Now, it was a different ultimate god. The hope was very slim. Help me into the finals. I don't want to fight in the middle. When the finals, just wait for me to win. Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyun briefly explained the plan. Mu Xingyun didn't have any objections. After all, he also felt that there wasn't much hope this time. Silence. At that moment, the Holy Sky Royal Lord waved his hand and said, there are a total of 8 academies participating this year. 3 from each academy, a total of 24 people. Everyone knows the rules. You can choose your opponents. You can choose to reject or accept. The Holy Sky Royal Lord said, 12 out of 20, 6 out of 12, and so on. That's enough. We all know. I heard that the younger generation of the Holy Sky Empire's disciples. Cough, cough. At that moment, a few extraordinaries mocked as they looked at the Holy Sky Royal Lord. When the Holy Sky Royal Lord heard this, his face darkened. He thought to himself, of all people, this is a sore spot. There was a Holy Sky Academy under the Holy Sky Empire. Everyone in the Holy Sky Academy was the Holy Sky Empire's disciples. Among them, the three strongest people in the Holy Sky Academy were the direct descendants of the Holy Sky Emperor. However, the three of them were all women. Those extraordinaries were secretly mocking the Holy Sky Dynasty for having too many females and too few males. The Holy Heaven's Royal Lord was also very depressed about this. What was going on? Why was there only one male in this generation? The rest were all females. Most importantly, the only male, the current prince of the Holy Sky Empire, was born unable to cultivate. In the past, the Empress ruled the world alone. Today, the three phoenixes of the Holy Sky can suppress all the heroes. The Holy Sky Royal Lord said in a low voice. Although he was very confident in his three female descendants, he was still unhappy. Chapter 12:21. Everyone looked at the Holy Sky Emperor with disdain. Some even wondered how the next generation would be produced if the Holy Sky Empire had more females than males. The Holy Sky Empire's emperor had been around since the founding of the empire. After so many years, shouldn't he give up his position? But who should he give up his position to? Should he give it to Prince, who couldn't cultivate? Or should he give it to the three princesses? That was obviously impossible. It would be great if he could marry into the Holy Sky Empire. You don't say. The Holy Sky Empire is really going to recruit a son-in-law, and it's going to be during the Starfield Academy battle. Many people were secretly discussing this matter, and their voices were not soft. The Holy Sky Emperor heard all of this, but he didn't care. Just as these people had said, the Holy Sky Empire was going to recruit a son-in-law during the Starfield Academy battle. Everyone, you're right. In this year's Starfield Academy battle, even if you don't win first place, anyone who stands out will have a chance to become the son-in-law of the Holy Sky Dynasty. The Holy Sky Royal Lord admitted it in front of everyone. Many people were excited, especially when they looked at the three girls on the other side of the square. Their eyes shone with excitement. Hey, look, those three are the princesses of the Holy Sky Empire. They're the three most powerful people in this generation of the Holy Sky Empire. Mu Xingyan poked Jiang Chen's shoulder and pouted. Jiang Chen heard this and looked in the direction Mu Xingyan was pointing. A glint flashed across his eyes as he took a look. TSK, TSK, TSK. They're even prettier than Feng Yu and the others, Jiang Chen said. When these words came out, Mu Xingyan chuckled and said, "What's wrong? Are you thinking of your female disciples?" Yes. Jiang Chen didn't deny it. After all, he had been separated from Bai Fengyu and the others for a long time. He didn't know how they were doing. However, he had to admit that the three princesses of the Holy Sky Empire were indeed extremely beautiful. On top of that, the three women's cultivation was quite high. They had all reached the upper martial monarch realm. With your cultivation level, I'm afraid you don't need to think too much. They won't even look at you. Mu Xingyan joked, but I still have hope. Come on, you. Don't you know the reputation of the Court of the Night? Among the 24 contestants, everyone has a chance. Only you, the holy son of the Court of the Night, have no hope. Jiang Chen said. When Mu Xingyan heard this, his face was full of awkwardness, and he felt even more unlucky. After coming to the Great Thousand World, he joined the Court of the Night in order to save his life. But who knew that the reputation of the Court of the Night, the dragon race, has arrived? At this moment, a loud shout came from outside the square. Then, two dragon tribe members who had transformed into human form walked in, with a small dragon in tow. Everyone bowed and welcomed him. Even a few of the superhumans smiled at him as a form of greeting. Everyone, the ancestral dragon of our race, wants to watch the battle. Do you mind? One of the dragons said, pointing his finger at the little dragon behind him. This is our dragon race's venerable one, born from the 6 worlds, the holy ancestral dragon that sees the fortune of heaven and earth. I've long heard of this dragon. Now that I've seen him, he's indeed worthy of being the ancestral dragon. His temperament and demeanor are excellent. The so-called dragon among dragons must be referring to the ancestral dragon of the dragon race. Many people were flattering him, and they didn't even try to hide their flattery. After all, even without the ancestral dragon, the dragon race was still one of the top races in the Great Thousand World. However, at this moment, two people had strange expressions on their faces. These two people were naturally Jiangchun and Mu Xingyan. Ever since this ruffian dragon came to the Great Thousand World, he's been living in the lap of luxury. He's living in a completely different world from us, who have to fight to the death. Mu Xingyan said. He was extremely envious. Jiangchun also laughed bitterly. This was the difference between human life and dragon life. You don't have to worry about it. Just participate in the competition. At this moment, Long Dade raised his head and looked down on the world. He did not transform into his human form. Instead, he coiled up on one of the dragons and swung his tail leisurely. There was nothing to say about that simple life. Most importantly, not only did the dragon race value him, but they also respected him greatly. What do you mean by you guys? Is this guy arrogant? Mu Xingyan muttered. The phoenix race has arrived. The vermilion bird race has arrived. Suddenly, 3 loud cheers came from afar. This time, many people were a little confused. What day was it today? The 3 great leaders of the goblin race were all here. I'm sorry, everyone. My lord wants to watch the battle today. I hope you don't mind. Soon, the people of the phoenix race arrived. There were also 2 phoenixes in human form and a black phoenix that stretched its feathers and twisted its fat waist. However, this phoenix was obviously different from the other phoenixes. The other phoenixes were gorgeous, but this phoenix was covered in black feathers and had wisps of netherworld fire rising from it. The rumor is true. The phoenix race also found an ancestral phoenix. Is this the 9 netherworld phoenix that came out of the 6 realms? Many people exclaimed. This time, the dragon race and the phoenix race could be said to be very lucky to find 2 ancestral phoenixes. I want a sister. Just as everyone was exclaiming, the 9 netherworld phoenix opened its mouth. As soon as it opened its mouth, everyone was stunned. Even the 2 phoenixes that accompanied the 9 netherworld phoenix twitched the corners of their mouths and whispered, My lord, pay attention to your image. I want a sister. I am the 9 netherworld phoenix, unique in the world. I want to establish a 9 netherworld phoenix clan. The 9 netherworld phoenix shouted, not at all like an ancestral phoenix. In response, Jiangchun stared at the 9 netherworld phoenix with a dark face and muttered, Huang Dade. Heh. What a coincidence. I didn't expect the dragon race and the phoenix race to come. At this moment, the vermilion bird race also arrived. There were also 2 people with a small vermilion bird. When Jiangchun saw this, he blinked his eyes with a strange expression. It was because this small vermilion bird of the vermilion bird race was a bird dade. It seemed that these 3 dades were really doing well in the great wide world. There's a show to watch. With these 3 dades together, I don't believe that the Starfield Academy battle can be carried out smoothly. Mu Xingyan teased. It's all because you taught them well as the boss. T. I didn't teach them to be like this. It was all taught by that thief Mu Yud. Jiangchun's face darkened, and his expression suddenly changed. It was because he felt that someone was watching him. Following that feeling, Jiangchun saw a fat Taoist with a rosy face in the crowd outside the square. At this moment, he was smiling at Jiangchun. No, it was a cheap smile. Chapter 1222. Jiangchun's heart skipped a beat when he saw the fat Taoist priest. What's going on? For virtuous deities? Covering his face with his hands, Jiangchun thought to himself that if this year's battle of the Star Zone Academies went smoothly, he wouldn't be surnamed Jiang. Big brother, long time no see. I've missed you. Second brother, third brother, I'm not your big brother. Watch your words. The 3 virtuous deities were chatting with each other. Long Dade's face darkened when Niao Dade and Huang Dade called him big brother. F asterisk CK? Are you blind? Let's not talk about that fat Taoist priest over there. Let's talk about that young man. He's so big. Are you blind? The real big brother is over there. Long Dade did not dare to call himself big brother in front of Jiang Chun and Mu Yude. That would be pushing him into a fire pit. I see that the few supremacies here have the aura of immortals. Why don't you come with me and explore the greater world to find the secret of immortality? At this moment, Mu Yude walked out. His fat belly trembled, and his smile was very kind. Of course, that smile was only what he thought it was. In other people's eyes, that smile was extremely wretched. F asterisk CK. This guy really dares to speak up? Jiang Chun was shocked. There are a few extraordinaries here. You'd better take it easy. How dare you? What kind of place is this? How dare you behave so atrociously here? Sure enough, the moment Mu Yude spoke, one of the extraordinaries shouted angrily. Mu Yude did not care about that at all. He even looked up at that extraordinary with a hint of contempt in his eyes. I'm the lord of the 4 underworlds and the lord of the ancient hell. If not for the fact that my cultivation is not recovered, you wouldn't have the right to speak. Seeing that you've had a hard time cultivating, I won't hold you accountable for your previous offense. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Mu Yude's cultivation was only at the divine the arch level. A divine the arch dared to speak to an extraordinary like that? Did he want to die? Even that supernatural being was dumbfounded. He had seen insolent people before, but he had never seen anyone as insolent as this. This person is an old acquaintance of mine. At that moment, Long Dade pointed at Mu Yude and said to the crowd, when I was in the 6 realms, he took care of me. Now that he has come to the great thousand world, he should be treated as a guest of honor by the dragon tribe. What was Long Dade's current status? He was the most powerful existence in the dragon clan. His words represented the meaning of the entire dragon clan. On the other hand, Mu Yude was even more confident when he heard this. He narrowed his eyes, while the trace of a sly smile on the corners of his mouth grew even brighter. He said, "Do you see that? I don't even have to do anything. My little brother can sweep through everything for me." You! That extraordinaire was infuriated. At the same time, he looked at Long Dade in confusion and asked, "Supreme Ancestral Dragon, what do you mean by this?" Exactly what I said. Long Dade was not afraid at all. He stared at the extraordinary human and said coldly, "What? Do you want to attack a guest of honor of the Dragon Clan?" Although the Dragon Clan is strong, they are all extraordinary humans. There is no need to fear each other. The extraordinary human's expression was ugly, but he did not dare to fall out with the Dragon Clan. After all, the Dragon Clan and the Demon Clan were the 3 giants of the current Demon Clan. The consequences of offending the Dragon Clan were very serious. He's just an extraordinary human. Do you think the Vermilion Bird Clan doesn't have one? If you dare to disrespect this Taoist priest again, do you believe that the Vermilion Bird Clan will immediately fall out with you? Bird Dade also spoke up. After all, their relationship with Mu Yude was simply that of a master and disciple. One had to know that without Mu Yude, there would not have been such a scam. It could be said that the 3 of them had been led astray by Mu Yude. Brat, don't think that you're so great just because you're an extraordinary human. If you dare to touch my brother, do you believe that I'll sleep with all the female juniors of your clan? Huang Dade also spoke up. However, when this fellow spoke, the scene was simply unbearable to watch. Was this the language of a human? No. Was this the language of a phoenix? This extraordinary human was also a little confused. What was going on? These 3 ancestral demons were actually protecting this fat Taoist priest. When he thought about the background and strength of these 3 demon clans, this extraordinary human only snorted coldly and did not want to dwell on this matter any further. After all, if they continued arguing, a war might break out. All right. Everyone, today is the Battle of the Star Domain Academy. Let's leave the time and space for the disciples of the various academies. The Xingtian Emperor waved his hand, indicating for everyone to quiet down. However, with the presence of the 4 great deities, were you sure that the Battle of the Star Domain Academy could proceed smoothly? In any case, Jiang Chun did not believe it. As for the four great deities, even they themselves did not believe it. As expected, the moment the Xingtian Emperor finished speaking, Huang Dade waved his hand, and a Phoenix Clan extraordinary human beside him stepped forward. Then, with a wave of his hand, several red wooden boxes landed in front of the Xingtian Emperor. This time, the Xingtian Emperor was dumbfounded. He looked at the boxes, especially the huge sheet character pasted on them. He was a little confused. What was going on? Was he here to propose marriage for him? He was a man. Xingtian Emperor, our ancestral supreme, is not only here to watch the battle, but also to propose marriage. The Phoenix Clan extraordinary human said, I heard that the Xingtian Emperor has 3 daughters with extraordinary talent. Our supreme is here to propose marriage personally. Old man, did you hear that? I'm here to propose marriage personally. Think about it and give me any of your 3 daughters. Huang Dade squinted his eyes, as if even the heavenly emperor was not as important as him. The Xingtian Emperor's face darkened. What day was it today? It was the day of the battle of the Star Domain Academy. What about now? What the hell was going on? Propose marriage? Ancestral Supreme, you? I don't think this is the right time to propose marriage. The Xingtian Emperor said in a low voice. Although you are an ancestral supreme, you can't be so presumptuous. Is that so? So what if I'm presumptuous? Huang Dade raised his eyebrows and looked at Long Dade and Bird Dade, asking, do you think I'm presumptuous? I'm doing this to continue my bloodline and reproduce. Is this presumptuous? Xingtian Emperor, what do you mean by this? Are you trying to end my brother's bloodline? Bird Dade was the first to react. He jumped out and said coldly, if my brother Huang Dade ends his bloodline, the Xingtian Emperor won't have an easy time either. It's the Xingtian Emperor's honor that my brother Huang Dade is here to propose marriage. What? It's fine if you don't agree, but how dare you speak so disrespectfully? You really think you're something? Do you think you're invincible in this world? Long Dade shouted angrily. Chapter 12:23. The cultivation of the 3 virtuous beings was not high, but the forces behind them were terrifying. With the support of the 3 virtuous beings and the relationship between the 3 virtuous beings, the 3 virtuous beings looked like they were going to join forces. If the 3 virtuous beings joined forces, the Xingtian dynasty would not be able to resist them. As a result, the Holy Sky dynasty was terrified by the anger of the 3 virtuous beings. His face darkened as he stared at Huang Dade maliciously. How could the ancestor of the Phoenix Clan be like this? Cough, cough. My daughter is still young. She's not suitable for marriage. The Xingtian dynasty explained. Bullsh ***. Didn't you say that you were going to pick a son-in-law in the Star Region Academy battle? Huang Dade shouted. What? Am I not good enough as your son-in-law? As he spoke, Huang Dade pointed behind him and said, behind me stands the entire Phoenix clan. Do you know what that means? Not only will the Phoenix tribe support me, but all the subsidiary tribes, the Phoenix tribe, the Snake Dragon tribe, will also support me. I have such a great son-in-law, and you don't like him? Are your eyes clouded by ***? Huang Dade did not hold back at all, as he spouted all sorts of insults. The words that came out of his mouth were simply fragrant. The Xingtian dynasty's royal leader's face darkened. He did not want to waste any more time on this matter. The most important thing now was to continue with the Star Region Academy battle. Otherwise, all the disciples from the various academies would be wasting their time here. Honorable Huang Dade, why don't we continue with the Star Region Academy battle first? We can discuss it after that. What do you think? The Xingtian dynasty's royal leader said. We're all smart people. Let's not beat around the bush. Do you agree to the marriage today? Long Dade raised his eyebrows. You don't have to say much. It's best if you agree. If you don't, the 3 virtuous beings won't mind fighting for you. That's right. If you agree, just nod your head and give one to my brother Huang Dade. If you don't agree, we'll fight for it. By then, we won't just fight for one. We'll fight for all 3. Bird Dade said. At this moment, the atmosphere of the scene became somewhat awkward. Especially the Holy Sky Emperor, the corners of his mouth twitched. What kind of ancestor realm masters did the three demon clans find? No matter how he looked at it, they all looked like scoundrels. Cough, cough, Your Honor. Why don't we let them continue with the Starfield Academy battle? It's not right for us to disturb others like this, a transcendent beside Huang Dade muttered, hinting for Huang Dade to take it easy. After all, there were so many people watching. Even though the three demonic races were not afraid of the Xingtian Empire, they could not be so unreasonable. However, Huang Dade was determined. He glared at him and said coldly, "My real brother isn't here today. If he was, I would have taken everything from the saintly dynasty, let alone your three descendants." Exactly. Have you heard of my big brother, Jiangqin? All the major evil races were now supporting him. Holy heavens, royal lord, you better think carefully, Birdbait said. When these words came out, no one had any reaction, but Jiangqin's expression was very strange. What the hell? What the hell are you guys doing? Is this how you guys ruin my reputation? Long Dade was the only one who kept silent, because he saw Jiangqin immediately. He was also very confused. Were Huang Dade and Birdbait blind? How could they not see such a big person? Cough, cough. Just then, Jiangqin could not take it anymore and coughed a few times. The sound of his coughing caused Huang Dade and Birdbait's feathers to tremble. They were very familiar with this sound. When they looked in the direction of the sound, they saw Jiangqin with a pale face. All of you, take it easy. If you want to cause trouble, fine, but don't drag me into it. I still want my reputation, Jiangqin said telepathically. This time, Birdbait and Huang Dade were obviously terrified. They were not afraid of anything except their own boss. All right. We'll talk about this later. Let's start the Starfield Academy battle first. Huang Dade mumbled and lowered his head. He did not think that his boss would hold a grudge against him, right? Birdbait was the same. He looked down as if he didn't care about his own business. Everyone knows the rules. Now, the Starfield Academy battle shall begin, the Holy Sky Royal Lord said, but before he could finish, he was interrupted again. Muyuda waved his hand and said, "Do you guys not care about me? Someone from the ancient netherworld? You guys are done, but I'm not done yet." The Heavenly Emperor was clearly enraged. It was fine that he was disturbed by the three Bay deities. After all, they had a strong foundation. But now, a fat Taoist like you wanted to cause trouble. Go back to where you came from. You're not from the three demon tribes. Even if they want to protect you, they won't do anything for you. You better watch yourself. Scram. The Holy Sky Royal Lord shouted angrily. The Heavenly Emperor was already enraged by the three great virtuous beings, and now he was venting his anger on Muyuda. Oh, you want me to scram? In this world, even if you're an extraordinary, no one dares to tell me to scram? Muyuda's face darkened. He waved his hand, and a tattered black war flag appeared in his hand. Then he stabbed the war flag into the void and made a series of hand seals. He shouted, "In the name of the ancient netherworld, I'll borrow 10 million soldiers." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the void shattered. Then, a path shrouded in dark mist appeared in the void. At the end of the path, the sound of thousands of soldiers marching could be heard. There was also a strong aura of death. Many people frowned. They could not see what was in the dark fog. However, the extraordinary felt their scalps go numb. At the end of the road, within the dark fog, there was a huge army charging towards this place. The few creatures in the lead were all transcendents. Oh my God! What is this? The ancient netherworld's heritage? Are the three creatures leading the army dead or alive? They look like extraordinary beings who have been dead for a long time. This is the ancient war flag. Finally, someone recognized the origin of the war flag. It was exactly the same as what was recorded in the ancient books. It was the token used by the ancient netherworld to mobilize soldiers. It was said that when this war flag was used, all the powerful beings of the ancient netherworld would come out. Who are you? The Holy Sky Royal Lord felt a chill in his heart. Who are these people today? Not to mention the three ancestral demon tribes. There is even a fat Taoist who claims to be from the ancient netherworld. Previously, he did not believe it at all. After all, the ancient netherworld had disappeared for a long time. However, when he saw the war flag in Muyuda's hand, he panicked. Chapter 1224. Muyuda claimed to be from the ancient underworld, and he even had the ancient war flag. Everyone's expression changed, and they began to speculate about Muyuda's identity. If Muyuda was really from the ancient underworld, then his status would be so high that no one present would be able to compare with him. Most importantly, if the ancient underworld was still around, then Muyuda's identity. Thinking of this, the Holy Sky Royal Lord's expression turned even uglier. He stared at Muyuda and asked, "Who are you?" "As you can see, I am the Lord of the ancient underworld." Muyuda's aura suddenly changed, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He said, "In this world, other than the Lord of the Heavenly Court, who else would dare to tell me to get lost? Even if the Lord of the Heavenly Court were here, he would have to think twice before telling me to get lost." These words truly shocked everyone to the point that they couldn't open their mouths. Seeing how confident Muyuda was, many people really believed him. However, there was only one person who doubted his identity. This person was Jiang Chun. Jiang Chun knew that Muyuda was related to the ancient underworld, but he was not sure if he was really the lord of the ancient underworld. "Your ancient war flag. Did you dig it out from an ancient tomb?" Jiang Chun asked telepathically. "You are indeed the one who knows me well." Muyuda replied with a mocking tone. "If I didn't pretend to be the lord of the ancient underworld, I would have been killed." "I knew it." Jiang Chun revealed a faint smile and stood where he was. He didn't ask any more questions. At this moment, Muyuda really thought of himself as the lord of the ancient underworld. He stood proudly in the middle of the square and looked at everyone. Then he suddenly smiled and said, "Actually, I'm not here for anything. I'm just here to take a look. However, you guys don't seem to care about me, so I came out to say something. That's all." At this moment, everyone was speechless. You came out to show off just because others don't care about you? Moreover, you didn't say that you were the lord of the ancient underworld. Fellow Taoist, now that we know who you are, the Holy Sky Dynasty will naturally welcome you. Please take a seat. The Holy Sky Royal Lord could not figure out Muyuda's true identity, but he knew that he could not offend Muyuda for the time being. "Kid, you're sensible," Muyuda said with a smile. Then in front of everyone, he sat down on a chair in the middle of the square. There were several chairs there, which were originally prepared for a group of superhumans. However, at that moment, the centermost seat was occupied by Muyuda. Although many people were unhappy and still doubted Muyuda's identity, no one dared to say anything at this moment. Besides, they had no enmity with Muyuda, so there was no reason for them to provoke someone with an unknown identity who was suspected to be related to the ancient underworld. Everyone cough cough. The Starfield Academy battle has officially begun. After a few seconds, the Holy Sky Emperor spoke again. This time, no one dared to cause trouble. As soon as he finished speaking, the disciples of the 8 academies took a step forward, and the atmosphere instantly became tense. The rules of the Starfield Academy tournament were very simple. You could choose your own opponent or let others choose you. You could also reject the other party's challenge. However, no matter what, in the first round of the tournament, each academy had to fight all 3 rounds, regardless of whether it was one person fighting 3 times or 3 people fighting 1 time each. Disciple of Heavenly Garden, Mu Zhu, is willing to accept 3 rounds of challenges. At this moment, in order to ensure that Jiang Chun could advance to the next round, Mu Zhu announced in front of everyone that he would fight all 3 rounds alone. In this way, no one would dare to challenge Jiang Chun. However, it was uncertain whether Mu Zhu would be able to handle all 3 rounds of challenges. Can this emperor do it? Mu Xingyan asked with a hint of disdain in his eyes. I've seen many emperors like him, and not many of them are powerful. I also think that Mu Zhu is just so, Jiang Chun mumbled. Mu Zhu, who was standing at the front, heard these words, and his chest heaved up and down. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. You too, A supreme god and a supreme god. How dare you talk about me like that? Mu Zhu was furious, but the plan had already been set. He had to pave the way for Jiang Chun. Sheng Lulan of Heavenly Academy, please enlighten me. At this moment, a girl walked out from the direction of Heavenly Academy. She was indeed very good-looking. She had an oval face, a slim waist, and a pair of long legs that were faintly discernible under a layer of black gauze. It was very suggestive. Oh, she's fighting so soon? It seems that the 3 female descendants of the Holy Sky Emperor are quite confident. The 3 phoenixes of the Holy Sky Empire are very powerful. I wonder if it's true. Many people looked over, wanting to see how powerful the strongest female disciple of the Holy Sky Empire was. At this moment, Mu Zhu's face was very ugly. He did not expect to face one of the 3 phoenixes in the first round. Although Sheng Lulan was the weakest of the 3 phoenixes, she was still stronger than him. I don't think I can do it. There's a change in the plan. You can walk the rest of the way by yourself. Mu Zhu smiled bitterly at Jiang Chun and then walked forward. Boom! In the next moment, the 2 of them did not speak and started fighting. In this battle, Mu Zhu was at a disadvantage right from the start. After all, Sheng Lulan was one of the 3 phoenixes. Her strength was worthy of her reputation. Jiang Chun saw that Mu Zhu was being suppressed and was about to lose. He sighed in his heart. Sigh. Jiang Chun sighed. If Mu Zhu lost, it would be too difficult for him to enter the finals. Buzz! Suddenly, Jiang Chun heard a roar in his mind. Then, he seemed to have many new memories. The runes in his eyes were bright. When he looked at the battle between Mu Zhu and Sheng Lulan, it was as if he was watching a farce. In particular, he could see Sheng Lulan's moves clearly. He could even see the trajectory of her divine power and nomological laws. Divine power as a sword, attack from the right. Nomological laws as a net, land on her feet. Punch out, dodge, suppress the back. At this moment, Jiang Chun did not know what was going on, but he kept whispering. When Mu Zhu heard these words, his expression froze. He actually followed Jiang Chun's instructions subconsciously. Next, a scene that shocked everyone occurred. Mu Zhu, who was originally at a disadvantage, not only suppressed Sheng Lulan under Jiang Chun's guidance, but after 100 rounds, he even landed behind Sheng Lulan in a flash. He slapped Sheng Lulan's back and directly suppressed her on the ground. What? A lower emperor suppressing a higher emperor? At this moment, exclamations were heard. Everyone was shocked. Chapter 1225. Everyone was shocked by this battle. Even Mu Zhu herself was scared silly. He was dumbfounded and stood rooted to the ground. He did not understand how he had defeated Sheng Lulan. Sheng Lulan was one of the 3 phoenixes of the Holy Sky Empire. She was an upper-level emperor, and her combat power was far beyond an ordinary emperor's. However, such a powerful emperor had been defeated by him. She lost because of her lack of combat experience. It's a pity for a little girl. She has such a high cultivation and talent, but she has no combat experience. A few extraordinaries commented that Sheng Lulan was not weak, but she lacked combat experience. At this moment, Sheng Lulan frowned as if she could not accept this fact. She was not satisfied. She was clearly much stronger than Mu Zhu. Why had she been defeated? At the same time, her gaze fell on Jiang Chun. When Jiang Chun gave Mu Zhu pointers, his voice was not loud, but it was not soft either. At least the people nearby heard it. She was puzzled. Could Mu Zhu really defeat her with just a few pointers from Jiang Chun? You're interesting. I'll remember you, Sheng Lulan said in a low voice. Her eyes flashed coldly, but she did not say anything and retreated out of the square. Third sister lost. This guy is quite strong. At this moment, one of the 3 phoenixes, Sheng Lulan's elder sister, Sheng Lu Yun, narrowed her eyes and stared at Mu Zhu. She said to her elder sister, Sheng Lu Shui, elder sister, why don't you go first? Do you need me to fight someone like this? Sheng Lu Shui said disdainfully, you go first. You must win this time. Don't embarrass the Holy Sky Empire and avenge my younger sister. Hearing that, Sheng Lu Yun had a look of reluctance, but in consideration of his elder sister's face, he still walked out. Then, she came to the center of the square and looked at Mu Zhu. She raised her eyebrows and said, "Since you can defeat my younger sister, then you're qualified to fight me. Can you let me rest?" Mu Zhu smiled bitterly. "It was purely an accident that I defeated her." "Is that so?" Sheng Lu Yun said softly. The moment she finished speaking, she rushed toward Mu Zhu like a ray of light. Sheng Lu Yun's speed was extremely fast and directly tore through the void. When she appeared again, her palm was already in front of Mu Zhu. Mu Zhu was stunned. He knew that he wasn't Sheng Lu Yun's opponent. At this moment, his mind was blank. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. However, at this moment, Jiang Chen's voice rang out. "Take 3 steps back to the left, punch with the right, attack from the top, and use the law to entangle the bottom." Mu Zhu's mind was completely blank. Now that she heard Jiang Chen's words, she subconsciously did as she was told. The consequences of his actions left Sheng Lu Yun dumbfounded. What should have been a sure-hit palm strike was actually dodged by Mu Zhu. At the same time, Mu Zhu's right fist struck out, aiming straight for her face. The laws in her left hand burst forth like chains, binding her legs. Focus your divine power and laws on your finger and force it into her glabella, Jiang Chun hurriedly said. Hearing this, Mu Zhu didn't hesitate. Divine power and laws condensed on his fingertips like a sharp sword, piercing through the void and heading straight for Sheng Lu Yun's glabella. Sheng Lu Yun's expression changed drastically. She shouted, "Do you think I'm so easy to bully?" Boom! As soon as she finished speaking, a terrifying divine power erupted from Sheng Lu Yun's body. At the same time, the laws condensed and turned into a huge god phantom, enveloping her. Boom! With a loud explosion, Mu Zhu's finger was blocked by the god phantom. At the same time, Sheng Lu Yun counterattacked, and a palm of laws fell on Mu Zhu's head. Escape into the void, move sideways, point your feet in 3 directions, go through the left side, and hit the top of the god to break his divine body. Jiang Chen said, "Kid, shut up. What does their battle have to do with you?" Mu Zhu, this kid, is a lower emperor. Previously, he was able to suppress Sheng Lu Lan, and now he can contend with Sheng Lu Yun. It's mostly because of Jiang Chen's guidance. At this moment, someone shouted. However, Jiang Chen ignored him and continued to give instructions. In this way, Mu Zhu was controlled by Jiang Chen. He kept attacking and defending according to Jiang Chen's instructions. After more than 800 people had gathered, Mu Zhu heard Jiang Chen's words and came to Sheng Lu Yun's side. Then he pushed out his palms and directly sent Sheng Lu Yun flying. Then, in an instant, Mu Zhu rushed out again. Before Sheng Lu Yun could react, he pointed at Sheng Lu Yun's forehead and said softly, "You've lost." At this moment, Sheng Lu Yun was also dumbfounded. She could not accept this fact. Why did she lose? Similarly, after Mu Zhu finished speaking, she was also stunned on the spot. He also did not understand. Could it be that he had defeated Sheng Lu Yun because of Jiang Chen's guidance? Great! Ha! 2 of the 3 phoenixes of the Celestial Heavens Academy were defeated by the same person. It seems that the 3 phoenixes are not famous. At this moment, many people were mocking Mu Zhu. Even the few extraordinaries were laughing mockingly. The Holy Sky Royal Lord's expression was ugly. He had thought that the 3 phoenixes would be able to easily suppress Mu Zhu. Who would have thought that 2 of the 3 phoenixes would be defeated by Mu Zhu? His face would be a little hard to hang on to. "Kid, what does our battle have to do with you? If not for your interference, I would have won this battle." At this moment, Sheng Lu Yun reacted and glared at Jiang Chen. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. When Jiang Chen saw this, his expression turned ugly. He retorted, "I didn't attack. I only gave you some pointers. You're not as skilled as me. So what? You want to kill me?" When he said this, before Sheng Lu Yun could say anything, the 3 great deities' expressions turned gloomy. "What the F*** are you? You want to kill my boss?" "I've decided. After the Battle of the Star Region Academy, I'm going to marry the second princess of the Holy Sky Empire. I have to teach her a lesson. Huang Dade was the first to speak. His eyes were filled with anger and resentment. What's wrong? Is the Holy Sky Empire a sore loser? Is there a rule in the Battle of the Star Region Academy that no one is allowed to give pointers? Long Dade raised his eyebrows and pointed at Sheng Lu Yun with his dragon claws. He said coldly, "Try to kill me again." This time, Sheng Lu Yun was flustered. The two ancestral demons had spoken. Regardless of whether she was right or wrong, this matter could not be discussed any further. Everyone, Lu Yun is still young. Please don't take offense. The Holy Sky Royal Lord tried to smooth things over. At the same time, he glared at Sheng Lu Yun and said, "A loss is a loss. Why aren't you leaving?" "Yes." Sheng Lu Yun looked aggrieved. When he retreated to the edge of the square, he kept looking at Jiang Chun from the corner of his eyes. At the same time, the anger and killing intent in his eyes were undisguised. Chapter 12:26. Jiang Chun naturally saw the murderous intent in Sheng Lu Yun's eyes, but he did not care. After all, there were 4 great deities and Hong Yun, an extraordinary from the supreme heavenly palace. He did not believe that this group of people would really dare to make a move on him. Moreover, Jiang Chun did not break the rules. There is indeed no rule against giving pointers in the Starfield Academy battle. The Holy Sky Royal Lord said and gave Sheng Lu Shui a look, indicating for her to make a move. Sheng Lu Shui heard and understood what the Royal Lord meant. She nodded lightly and went to the center of the square. Then, she looked at Mu Zhu and asked, "I chose to challenge you. Do you need to rest?" Mu Zhu was dumbfounded when he heard that. Rest? Of course. But are you 3 phoenixes wrong? There are so many disciples here, and you're looking for me? Am I, a kid who just entered the Imperial stage, really so likable? Looks like your plan is not working. Mu Zhu can't stop her. Mu Xingyan laughed mockingly. Jiang Chun also laughed mockingly and said, "Don't I still have you?" After that, Jiang Chun looked at Mu Zhu and asked, "Do you want to give it a try?" "Since I can't beat her, let's give it a try." Mu Zhu muttered and decided not to rest. Sheng Lu Shui of the 3 phoenixes was famous among the younger generation. Her strength and combat experience were enough to be compared with any disciple with a foundation. Mu Zhu believed that even with Jiang Chun's pointers, he would not be able to defeat Sheng Lu Shui. Jiang Chun did not have any objections. He nodded with a smile and said, "Then you can start. Don't say that I'm bullying you. My 3 phoenixes lack combat experience. I should give them some pointers for this battle," the Holy Sky Royal Lord said. He did not want any accidents to happen. After all, the 3 phoenixes had already lost 2 people. If even Sheng Lu Shui was defeated, the Holy Sky Empire would lose face. "Emperor, please go ahead," Jiang Chun said with a smile. Then, the battle between Mu Zhu and Sheng Lu Shui began. At that moment, Jiang Chun and the Holy Sky Royal Lord spoke at the same time as they gave him pointers. As for Mu Zhu and Sheng Lu Shui, they continued to fight according to their wishes. However, as time passed, Sheng Lu Shui clearly felt the pressure. No matter what move she used or what law she used, Mu Zhu could easily resolve them under Jiang Chun's guidance. Over time, Sheng Lu Shui fought until she was somewhat powerless. At the same time, the Xingtian Celestial Emperor's forehead was drenched in cold sweat. He kept giving pointers to Sheng Lu Shui, but he realized that this young man called Jiang Chun had even more battle experience than him. In particular, his usage of divine power and laws was simply godly. "Emperor of the Holy Heavenly Emperor, are you feeling hot? Why are you sweating?" TSK, TSK, TSK. Don't tell me he can't beat Jiang Chun. They were not blind or stupid, so they naturally knew that the Xingtian Celestial Emperor was drenched in cold sweat. At the same time, they were also shocked. Where did Jiang Chun come from? Even they could not compare to him in battle experience. "Stop. Admit defeat." Suddenly, Jiang Chun spoke and told Mu Zhu to admit defeat. This made everyone very confused. After all, Mu Zhu had the upper hand and was constantly suppressing Sheng Lu Shui. He was about to win. However, Jiang Chen knew very well that Mu Zhu's divine power had been exhausted. Even with his guidance, Mu Zhu could not continue fighting. I admit defeat. My divine power is exhausted. At that moment, Mu Zhu was very straightforward. His face was pale. After 3 consecutive battles, his divine power was indeed exhausted. If he continued fighting, even though Jiang Chen was guiding him, he still wouldn't be able to use any moves, and he wouldn't be able to gather any extraordinary power. Just like that, Sheng Lu Shui won the battle. However, everyone could see that if Mu Zhu had not rested and his divine power was not abundant, Sheng Lu Shui would definitely have lost this battle. Cough, cough. At that moment, although Sheng Lu Shui had won, he was not happy at all. At the same time, the Sheng Tian, Celestial Emperor's face was full of embarrassment. He kept coughing as if to hide his embarrassment. If we don't rest here, you don't need to rest either. Mu Xingyun, it's your turn, Jiang Chen said. Mu Xingyun rolled his eyes and said snappily, with my cultivation level, how can I fight an emperor? However, even though he said that, Mu Xingyun still walked to the center of the square. There was a devilish smile on his face, and it seemed somewhat evil. Others may not know your strength, but how can I not know? Jiang Chen said angrily. I've been treating you like an old enemy. I admit that you're strong. TSK, TSK, TSK. Are you complimenting me? Mu Xingyun was speechless. Then, he said seriously, fine, I haven't fought with you in a long time. Today, I'll take this opportunity to show you that I, Mu Xingyun, have never been weaker than you from the godless continent to the 6 realms and the great 1,000 world. I knew it. Jiang Chen laughed. Boom! The moment he said that, everyone saw Mu Xingyun's divine power explode. At the same time, he disappeared. Even an extraordinary would not be able to detect Mu Xingyun's whereabouts. Chi! Chi! Suddenly, black shadows appeared in the square. They were densely packed like a group of demons. They were Mu Xingyun's Tao Soul, shadows. After these shadows appeared, they did not attack. Instead, they stood quietly in their original positions. This made everyone puzzled. What was Mu Xingyun doing? One had to know that in front of the emperor, even if one had a top-notch Tao Soul and could dazzle the eyes, it was only temporary. If he did not attack now, did he give up? Was he waiting to admit defeat? *CK. This kid. However, Jiang Chen cursed right away, because he had seen where these shadows were standing. They were the tactical formation's eyes and the formation's corners. These shadows were connected together to form a huge and complicated killing array. Obviously, Mu Xingyun had not been idle during this period. He knew that Jiang Chen was proficient in array formations, so he had also been studying array formations. It's over. Suddenly, a clear voice came from the sky. Only then did everyone react. Mu Xingyun had appeared in the sky at some point. It was located right in the center of all the shadows. Shadow destruction. The next moment, before Sheng Lu Shui could attack, the surrounding shadows instantly exploded. The terrifying power turned into array patterns, and an array formation rose instantly. Boom! Accompanied by a series of muffled sounds, the power in the array formation went berserk. In just a few breaths, Sheng Lu Shui was blasted out and fell at the edge of the square. *CK? Using shadows to set up an array formation? This kid is really sneaky. He knows that he is no match for Sheng Lu Shui, so he actually used an array formation. Many people exclaimed. Using shadows to set up an array formation was indeed something. Chapter 1227. Sheng Lu Shui had lost this battle. This did not mean that she was weak, but that Mu Xingyun's move had been too sudden, and no one had expected it. At this moment, the Holy Sky Royal Lord's expression was extremely ugly. The 3 phoenixes of the Holy Sky dynasty had all been defeated. This was a great humiliation for the Holy Sky dynasty. especially when there were a few extraordinaires laughing at him. This made the Holy Sky Royal Lord feel even more humiliated. "All of you get down," the Holy Sky Royal Lord said coldly. He was in an extremely bad mood. Shenglu Shui was very calm. She stood up from the ground, brushed off the dust, and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She did not say a word and walked out of the square with a calm expression. However, when she walked out of the square, her red lips moved slightly and said, "If you had not pointed at me and thought that you had rich battle experience, this battle would not have ended up like this." As soon as these words came out, many people's expressions became strange. Was Sheng Lu Shui blaming the Holy Sky Royal Lord? However, it made sense. If the Holy Sky Royal Lord had not insisted on competing with Jiang Chun, with Sheng Lu Shui's strength, she could have suppressed him with her full strength. However, the Holy Sky Royal Lord cared about his reputation and insisted on arguing with Jiang Chun. Now, the three phoenixes had all been defeated. At this moment, when the Holy Sky Royal Lord heard this, his chest heaved up and down. He was so angry that he almost bled. However, he did not say much. After all, Sheng Lu Shui was the strongest among the younger generation of the Holy Sky dynasty. Although she had lost today, it did not mean that she was weak. For a long time in the future, the younger generation of the Holy Sky dynasty would still have to rely on Sheng Lu Shui. The three battles of the Tong Tian Garden have ended. Mu Xingyin and I can advance to the next round, right? Jiang Chen smiled and raised his eyebrows at the Holy Sky Royal Lord as if to say, "What can you do to me?" As expected of our boss, he advanced without having to fight personally. Mu Xingyin is so strong now. This is not a good thing for our boss. Although boss and Mu Xingyin are old enemies, the kind that won't rest until one of them is dead, it's been a long time since the two of them fought, right? Who knows what their relationship is now? The three great virtuous beings were discussing Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyin through telepathy. As for the rest of the competition, they were not in the mood to watch. Just like that, after the three phoenixes were defeated, the Starfield Academy battle continued. However, for many people, the following battles were indeed boring, and not many people came to watch. After all, the three most famous contestants had already been defeated. For many people, the remaining battles were meaningless. This was especially true for the Holy Sky Empire. This year's Starfield Academy battle was simply a humiliation. If it weren't for the fact that the Starfield Academy battle was being held in the Holy Sky Dynasty, the Holy Sky Royal Emperor would have left long ago. 12 out of the 24 advanced to the next round. That means in the second round, I have to win 2 rounds to ensure that you advance without having to fight. Mu Xingyun's expression was very ugly, and his face was filled with displeasure. He felt that this plan wouldn't work. You're the supreme being. Why do you have to ensure that you enter the finals? Can't I do it? Mu Xingyin muttered. You've already exposed your strength. If you enter the finals, do you think those disciples will look down on you? Jiang Chen said. What we need now is to catch them off guard and make them look down on you. After all, their cultivation is too high. If we don't use some tricks, I'm afraid we won't be able to win. Mu Xingyin heard this and could not help but nod. Of course, he understood what Jiang Chen meant. By the way, do you know about the elixir of immortality? Mu Xingyin suddenly asked. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. Jiang Chen said softly. Why? Have you seen it? Before coming here, the 2 old guys from my family took me to the outer area of the Great Thousand Graveyard. Mu Xingyin narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, We saw a herb that looked like a sharp sword. It was rooted in the depths of the Great Thousand Graveyard. However, we only caught a glimpse of it. Before we could see it clearly, the herb disappeared and escaped. Oh, you mean? There really is an elixir of immortality in the Great Thousand Graveyard. Jiang Chen was shocked. If that was the case, then this Star Domain Academy battle would not be so simple. If there really was an elixir of immortality in the Great Thousand Graveyard, then the other forces and sects would definitely intervene. At that time, what was the point of winning the Star Domain Academy battle? It might not be the elixir of immortality. Maybe it's another kind of herb. Mu Xingyan said, I also heard from the two old guys in Yi and in Ming that it might be a sword-way flower. Sword-way flower? What's that? Jiang Chun was stunned. He had never heard of it. Then, Mu Xingyan explained it to Jiang Chun. There were 3,000 great Daos, and one of them was the sword-way. The sword-way flower was an invisible great Dao that was condensed into a great Dao flower under a special situation. If it could be combined with the sword-way flower, one could directly cultivate the sword-way to transcendence. That meant that as long as one obtained the sword-way flower, it was equivalent to creating an extraordinary out of thin air. This was a priceless treasure for any power. After all, the ones who controlled the great thousand world were still the few extraordinary ones. All the extraordinary ones restrained and suppressed each other. If there was suddenly another extraordinary one, then the current balance would definitely be broken. Therefore, En Ming and En Yi guessed that there might be a conspiracy behind this Star Domain Academy battle. Using the name of the elixir of immortality, it's actually for the sword-way flower, Jiang Chun said in a low voice. But why is that? You'll have to ask that old man, the Xingtian Emperor. Every Star Domain Academy battle is organized by the Xingtian dynasty, and the Great Thousand Mine has always been guarded by the Xingtian dynasty. Mu Xingyan said in a low voice. Maybe it's a good thing that we don't win. Jiang Chun felt that it made sense. After all, the pool was very muddy now. If it was not necessary, it was better not to get involved. Boy, if you want to revive the ninth heaven, then you have to get the sword-way flower. Suddenly, the undying bird explained. The greedy ghost is like a sword. If you nourish it with the power of the sword-way flower, it might be able to break free from the great Tao. At that time, the greedy ghost will break free from the great Tao and be abandoned by the great Tao. Its strength will weaken, and then you can save the ninth heaven. Jiang Chen's expression froze when he heard that. He asked, Are you sure? I think so. The undying bird said, If you don't have the sword-way flower, when will you be able to save the ninth heaven? Wait until you become an extraordinary? I'm afraid it will take a long time, and the ninth heaven will continue to be tortured by the greedy ghost. Chapter 1228. Jiang Chun was touched by what the immortal bird Dao Han had said. Jiang Chun had a lot to do with the fact that Jiu Tian had been devoured by the greedy ghost and was now sealed in the greedy ghost world. It would be great if he could save Jiu Tian as soon as possible. However, no one was sure what was in the Great Thousand Graveyard. Perhaps only the people from the Holy Sky Empire knew the truth. It could be a conspiracy, or it could be a simple Star Region Academy battle. However, regardless of whether there was the elixir of immortality or the sword-way flower in the Great Thousand Graveyard, Jiang Chun had to go. Even if it was a conspiracy, Jiang Chun had to get involved. It's over, time for the second round. After half a day, the first round of the Star Region Academy battle had ended. The disciples from the various academies took a short break before the second round began. The Holy Sky Empire was completely annihilated. At the same time, the disciples from several academies were defeated as well. Among the remaining 12 disciples, Tong Tian Garden took up 2 spots. The rest were from the Great Sea Academy in the north, the Rising Sun Academy in the south, and the Great Yu Academy in the west. These 3 academies were all veteran academies. Their disciples were all extremely strong, and each of them was extremely valiant. As of now, all 3 academies were full, and all 3 of them had entered the second round with all 3 of them present. However, the most eye-catching one was not these 3 academies, nor was it Jiang Chun or Mu Xingyan. It was another woman. This woman was covered in a layer of white mist. She was ethereal, like a fairy. Even her face was covered by a veil. She looked mysterious, but some people knew her identity. Among the 4 academies, other than Tong Tian Garden taking up 2 spots, the other 3 academies are all full. This woman should be the saintess of Xianling's sect, Ling Long, someone said. Xianling's sect is also an academy. I heard that Saintess Ling Long is the prettiest in the Southern Star region. However, very few people have seen her face. She once swore that she would marry anyone who could remove her veil. I wonder if it's true. At this moment, everyone was discussing Ling Long. Even Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyun could not help but take a few more glances at her. Extremely powerful. After a few breaths of time, Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes and said to Mu Xingyun, "If you encounter her, you have to be careful. I can sense an extremely terrifying force hidden within her body." "Do I need you to tell me that?" Mu Xingyun said angrily. "Haven't you heard of her reputation?" I've never heard of her before." Jiang Chun was stunned for a moment. Could it be that this Ling Long was especially famous? Apart from her peerless beauty, she's also known as the person with the greatest hope of becoming a transcendent in the younger generation. She's also the person who's the fastest. Mu Xingyun said in a deep voice, "If I were to face her, I would have to use some tricks. Otherwise, there would be no hope at all. Your assassination skills have already reached perfection. If you encounter her, you can suffocate her to death if you can't defeat her." Jiang Chun joked. "Are you praising me or scolding me?" Mu Xingyun said with a black face. "Everyone, I won't say any more about the rules. It's the same as the first round. 6 out of the 12 will enter the next round." At this moment, the Sacred Sky Royal Leader spoke up. He was weak and his face was pale. After all, the Sacred Sky Royal Leader had lost the Sacred Sky Royal Leader. This made him feel very embarrassed. Furthermore, he felt that it was very boring to continue hosting the Star Region College Tournament. "What you mean is that I have to win 2 rounds before you don't have to do anything," Mu Xingyun said softly. He then looked at Jiang Chun and asked, "What if I can't win 2 rounds? Then I'll have to do something." Jiang Chun sighed. One had to know that the second round was different from the first round. In the first round, no one knew what was going on. Some had lost because they were too careless. However, in the second round, everyone had seen each other's moves and knew each other's abilities. As such, it was impossible for Mu Xingyun to defeat a monarch or even a half-step transcendent with his supreme god cultivation base when both sides knew each other's strengths. Therefore, Jiang Chun did not have much confidence in the plan that he had previously set. Mu Xingyun will fight in place of Jiang Chun. At this moment, Mu Xingyun could not be bothered to wait any longer. The sooner the battle ended, the sooner he could win. If he could not win, then so be it. He walked out and came to the center of the square. He looked at the other contestants and asked, "Who wants to fight?" As soon as he said this, a look of contempt flashed across many people's eyes. Even after a few breaths, no one was willing to fight with Mu Xingyun. This was because in their eyes, even if they won against Mu Xingyun with their cultivation base, there was nothing to say. They would even be called bullying the weak. If Heavenly Garden wants to enter the finals and even win, why didn't they send their best disciples? Someone frowned and asked, "Aren't they sending the few of you to your deaths?" That's right. Heavenly Garden is the #1 school in the Eastern Star region. This time, the disciple with the highest cultivation base is only a lower emperor. Many people were depressed. As they spoke, no one was willing to fight. Mu Xingyun was also quite embarrassed. He stood alone in the square and did not know what to do. However, after a dozen breaths of time, a voice that almost made Mu Xingyun laugh out loud rang out. The Emperor of Heavenly Garden coughed lightly and said, "Since no one wants to challenge Mu Xingyun then, Mu Xingyun wins without a fight and advances to the next round." Emperor of Heavenly Garden, the more I look at you, the more I like you. The Emperor is wise. And Yi and Ming laughed and cupped their hands towards the Emperor of Heavenly Garden. When the Emperor of Heavenly Garden heard this, his face darkened. He was not willing to do so. However, no one wanted to fight Mu Xingyun. Mu Xingyun had not lost, so he could only advance to the next round. Emperor of Heavenly Garden, I said before that this battle was for Jiang Chun. If he wants to advance, he should advance. Mu Xingyun said, "It's all the same. Even if you enter the finals, you won't be able to win. After all, your cultivation base is too low." The Emperor of Heavenly Garden waved his hand and announced that Jiang Chun had advanced. "Emperor, why don't you let him advance too? After all, their existence is meaningless to us." "That's right. Let these two weaklings advance to the next round. When the time comes, it will be easier for me, and I can pick up some scraps. Many people suggested, and actually took the initiative to ask Mu Xingyan to advance as well. Mu Xingyan was overjoyed. Even Jiang Chun was stunned. How could there be such a good thing? All right. Since everyone agrees, the two of you can advance together, the Emperor of Heavenly Garden said. However, he frowned and said, there are only 4 spots left. You have to put in more effort. Chapter 12:29. The group of people agreed to let Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyan advance to the next round. Of course, it wasn't because they were being courteous, but because they were thinking for themselves. After all, after this battle, the next round would be the top 3 out of 6. This meant that no one had to fight in the next round. In this way, if he advanced in this round, he would have to face Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyan in the next round, both of whom had low cultivation levels. If they advanced to the next round, they would have a higher chance of entering the finals. After all, in their eyes, as long as they weren't careless, they would be able to win against Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyan. All of you are scheming. When the next round comes, you will be crying. Mu Xingyan laughed coldly in his heart. Until now, he hadn't used his trump card. Jiang Chun was the same. Although he looked calm on the surface, he was laughing hysterically in his heart. After all, he hadn't fought until now. These people probably didn't know his combat power. When the next round came, Jiang Chun felt that he had to make them repent. Just like that, Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyan advanced to the next round. The two of them returned to the side of the square and waited quietly for the next round. As for the next round, Jiang Chun and Mu Xingyan couldn't be bothered to watch it. To them, it didn't matter who won or lost this round. It had nothing to do with them. After all, their cultivation levels were low. If they wanted to win, they had to catch their opponents off guard. Hence, it didn't matter who they met in the next round. This group of people is really stupid. They actually let Boss and Mu Xingyan advance to the next round just like that. Long Dade muttered to himself. Long Dade murmured to himself. He had an odd look on his face. He thought to himself that Jiang Chun was probably going to be the champion. Bird Dade, Huang Dade, and Mu Yud had the same thoughts as Long Dade. These few people were very clear about Jiang Chun's combat power. Although they hadn't seen him for a while, they still believed that Jiang Chun's combat power was unparalleled. Speaking of which, where have you been all this time? At this moment, Jiang Chun was standing where he was. In fact, he was secretly communicating with Mu Yud. Don't even mention it. I thought that I'd found the real ancient hell, but it turns out that it's just a training ground. Mu Yud said angrily, that Taoist temple has been abandoned for a long time. It should have been around 30 to 50,000 years. There is only this ancient war flag in there. There is nothing else. It was a wasted trip. The ancient war flag is one of the most precious treasures of the ancient underworld. Do you still think that we're going for nothing? Jiang Chun rolled his eyes. Mu Yud's thoughts were really big. One had to know that Gu Zhanqi was not an ordinary item. This item would definitely cause many people to covet it. Wait, what did you just say? That dojo has been abandoned for 30 to 50,000 years? Suddenly, Jiang Chun's expression changed greatly. He came to his senses and stared at Mu Yud. Yes, Mu Yud nodded. At this moment, Jiang Chun could no longer remain calm. This was because, according to the historical records, the ancient underworld had been destroyed for several eras. Not to mention 10 million years, but at least 1,000,000 years. But now, you mean that there were still people from the ancient underworld in that training ground 30 to 50,000 years ago? Jiang Chun asked. Just as you think, Mu Yud said. The rumors are all false. The ancient underworld has never disappeared. It's just that because of some things, it has been hiding from the world. Just like the 3 mountains and 5 seas of the 6 realms. If the ancient underworld had really been destroyed, do you think that the 3 mountains and 5 seas would still be around? Hearing this, Jiang Chun's heart throbbed. If the ancient underworld had not been destroyed, why had it not appeared in the world for so many eras? Could it be that it was afraid of something? One had to know that in the entire history of the ancient underworld was a top existence. It was said that there was only one force in the world that could compete with the ancient underworld, and that was the heavenly court. However, for some reason, the ancient underworld had not appeared in the world in this era, and the heavenly court had long disappeared. No one knew if they still existed. Why did these two top forces suddenly disappear? What was the secret behind it? Can you tell me something? Are you really from the ancient underworld? Jiangchen asked. I'm not sure, Muyid said truthfully. Previously, I thought that I had awakened all my memories, but only now did I realize that I had only awakened part of them. In part of my memories, I know that I'm related to the ancient underworld, but I'm not sure if I'm from the ancient underworld, Muyid said. Then he told Jiangchen that the reason why he had been excavating ancient tombs was because his memories kept reminding him that there was an ancient tomb that was very special and buried with the secrets of the heavens. And that secret was also related to Mu Yud's memories. However, there was one thing that puzzled Mu Yud. This was because the ancient tombs that he had excavated were more or less related to Jiangchen's previous lives. Could this be a coincidence? However, excavating one tomb was a coincidence, but what about excavating 2, 3, or even 5 or 6 tombs? Were these all coincidences? There's one more person. I actually found something about him in one of the ancient tombs. Suddenly, Mu Yud's expression froze. He stared at Jiangchen and asked, Do you know who that person is? Who? Jiangchen asked in surprise. Nian Chang'e. Muyid said in a low voice, That guy is dishonest. He's also hiding a lot of things from you. Jiangchen was also stunned when he heard this. He did not expect Mu Yud to find something about Nian Chang'e in an ancient tomb. But so what? Jiangchen looked at Mu Yud in annoyance and said softly, If he's hiding something from me, then what about you? You're hiding a lot of things from me, aren't you? Everyone has secrets. Mu Yud smiled innocently. Then, he shut his mouth and did not say a word. Jiangchen did not continue asking because the second round of the competition had already ended. As expected, Ling Long from the Xianling sect had advanced to the next round. At the same time, one person from each of the other 3 academies had advanced to the next round. Let's rest for a while. The third round will begin in 30 minutes, the Holy Sky Emperor said. With that, the Holy Sky Emperor looked at the 3 disciples who had advanced to the next round. He narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. After a few breaths, he slowly opened his mouth and asked, My 3 friends, what do you think of the Holy Sky Emperor? Extremely powerful. The fact that the Holy Sky Emperor is in charge of the Central Starfield is enough to show how powerful the Holy Sky Emperor is. Your Majesty, do you mean you want to choose a son-in-law from the 3 of us? The 3 of them were not fools. There had to be a reason for the Holy Sky Emperor to suddenly ask such a question. Otherwise, why would the Holy Sky Emperor speak to disciples like them in such a manner? I've already said that I want to find a cultivation partner for my Sanfeng to marry into the Holy Sky Emperor. What do the 3 of you think? The Holy Sky Emperor smiled confidently. He firmly believed that no one would be able to resist this temptation. Chapter 1230. One could tell how powerful the Holy Sky Empire was from the fact that they could monopolize the Central Starfield. Although the Holy Sky Empire's results in this year's Starfield battle were not ideal, it did not mean that they were weak. On the contrary, everyone knew how powerful the Holy Sky Empire was. No one doubted their strength and foundation. To the Holy Sky Emperor, these 3 youths were the best candidates to become his son-in-law. Of course, he did not care about Jiangchen and Mu Xingyun. After all, their cultivation levels were too low. Royal Highness, we can discuss this after I win. I've heard of the beauty of the 3 phoenixes. It would be a blessing to become the son-in-law of the Holy Sky Empire. The 3 of them spoke one after another, but they did not notice that Huang Dade's face was dark. Beside Huang Dade, the 2 experts from the Phoenix race twitched their mouths as they coughed repeatedly to remind the Holy Heaven's Royal Lord. After all, the main reason they were here was to propose marriage and find a cultivation partner for Huang Dade. However, the Holy Sky Emperor did not mention it. Instead, he was interested in the disciples of the three academies. What was the meaning of this? Holy Sky Emperor, are you looking down on me? Huang Dade could not help but ask. I'm an ancestral phoenix. Am I not good enough for the three girls in your family? Royal Highness, you're looking down on us. It's fine if you don't mention it. But since you brought it up, let's postpone the battle. Let's settle our Supreme One's marriage first. The two phoenixes stared at the Holy Sky Emperor with gloomy expressions. Their intentions were clear. You think highly of those three brats, but you don't think highly of my ancestor-level venerable? Are you looking down on the entire Phoenix clan? At this moment, the Holy Sky Emperor realized that he had gone overboard. He smiled awkwardly and said, "We have three phoenixes. Don't worry. Don't worry. You have three phoenixes. They happen to have three people. What about me? What's left when it's my turn? If you don't settle this today, I'll destroy your Holy Sky Empire," Huang Dade said coldly. After he said that, Niao Dade and Long Dade also expressed their support for Huang Dade. At the same time, the ancient war flag in Mu Yud's hand shook slightly. He raised his eyebrows and said, "What's wrong? Did you bully my brother Huang?" The Holy Heaven's royal lord started to feel a little weak. The Shengtian dynasty was no weaker than any of the other forces present. However, the Shengtian dynasty would not be able to bear the consequences of offending so many clans at once, especially now that the three big shots of the demon clan were present. If this matter was not handled properly, it would be equivalent to offending the three big shots of the demon clan. At that time, if the three demon clans really turned against him, the Shengtian dynasty would be in deep trouble. Look at your ruffian face. Who would want to marry you? Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're an ancestral phoenix. Sheng Luoyun shouted from afar. She had the most explosive temper among the three sisters, and her killing intent was also extremely heavy. She had long disliked Huang Dade. However, the moment she said that, the Holy Heaven's royal lord's face changed. Before he could say anything, the two experts by Huang Dade's side took action and pulled Sheng Luoyun over in front of the Holy Sky Royal Lord. Then, with a single palm strike, they suppressed Sheng Luoyun in front of Huang Dade. "Little girl, even the Holy Heaven's Royal Lord does not dare to speak to my lord like that. Who do you think you are? Don't think that just because you're good-looking, others will cherish you. If you don't have the Shengtian dynasty behind you, you're nothing," the two elites from the Phoenix clan said with murderous intent in their eyes. At that moment, Huang Dade smirked as he stared at Sheng Luoyun. He said mockingly, "As an ancestral phoenix, I can do whatever I want. So what? Are you unhappy?" Slap. As soon as he finished speaking, Huang Dade slapped Sheng Luoyun's face in front of everyone. Instantly, half of her face swelled up. "Stop. She is the princess of the Holy Heaven's Royal Lord. Are you not giving the Holy Heaven's Royal Lord any face by doing this?" The Holy Heaven's Royal Lord was enraged. How dare he slap Sheng Luoyun in front of him? He was not someone to be trifled with. At that moment, everyone felt a terrifying aura explode as ecliptic chi rose from the Holy Heaven's Royal Lord's body, like a dragon. At the same time, a few beams of light shot into the sky around the palace. Those were the restrictions and arrays that had been activated. "Holy heavens, you bastard! She insulted my lord first. So what if I teach her a lesson? How dare you activate the arrays and restrictions? Are you planning to start a war with the Phoenix clan today?" One of the elders from the Phoenix clan scolded without a trace of fear in his eyes. The Holy Heaven's Royal Lord reacted as well. His face darkened as he said, "Since you've already taught her a lesson, let her go." "Why? I'm an ancestral phoenix. Who is she to insult me? If it were anyone else, they would have been dead by now." Huang Dade was not someone to be trifled with. What was there to be afraid of? Just the Dragon Clan, Phoenix Clan, and Vermilion Bird Clan were enough to intimidate the Holy Heaven's Royal Lord. "Forget it. It's annoying. Let's wait until the Star Domain Academy battle is over." Just as the atmosphere was getting tense, Jiang Qin spoke up. He looked at Huang Dade and asked with a faint smile, It's quite impressive, isn't it? Huang Dade shuddered, but he was confused. He asked telepathically, Boss, why aren't you helping me? Do you know anything about arrays? The formations and restrictions in the palace are enough to kill extraordinaries. Jiang Chen snapped, Don't push the holy heavens royal lord too far. If he does, we'll all die here. To say, no way. Huang Dade sucked in a breath of cold air and snorted. He kicked Sheng Luyan back and said, There won't be a next time. Royal Lord, Sheng Luyan's face was swollen as he looked aggrieved. He looked at the holy heavens royal lord, hoping that he would stand up for him. However, the holy heavens royal lord was also in a dilemma, especially when he saw Sheng Luyan. He wanted to slap him to death. Are you *king blind? How dare you ask me to stand up for you? If this matter blew up, no one would be in a good spot. Go back. Don't come out and embarrass yourself. The holy heavens royal lord roared as he looked at Jiang Chen from the corner of his eye. It was only because of what Jiang Chen had said that Huang Dade had stopped. How could the holy heavens royal lord not overthink? Royal lord, let's hurry up and end the Star Domain Academy battle. I still want to go back to Tongtian Gardens to cultivate. Jiang Chen urged. Chapter 1231. Jiang Chen did not want to delay the Star Region Academy's battle because of these trivial matters. He wanted to enter the Great Thousand Graveyard as soon as possible. It would be best if he could obtain the Sword Principal Flower. If he could not, then it would be a good experience for him. 3 out of 6 begin. At that moment, the Royal Master of the Holy Heavens did not want to dwell on the previous matter. He immediately announced that the battle would continue. 3 out of 6, everyone had to choose an opponent, and the winner would enter the finals. However, at that moment, the scene was a little strange. It was so quiet that it was frightening. This was because the other 4 disciples were looking at Jiang Chen and Mu Xingyan. In their eyes, if they could fight with Jiang Chen or Mu Xingyan, they would be able to enter the finals easily. However, they knew that there were only 2 people, Jiang Chen and Mu Xingyan, while there were 4 of them. Therefore, 2 of them would have to fight the others. They all wanted to fight with Jiang Chen and Mu Xingyan. As a result, the 4 of them froze. They did not know what to do. To be honest, we all want to fight with the 2 of you. One of them said, Why don't you choose yourselves? Yes, I'm afraid the 4 of us can't choose. We'll leave the choice to the 2 of you. Hearing that, Jiang Chen and Mu Xingyan almost laughed out loud. Let them choose? Of course, they would choose the weakest. At that moment, before Jiang Chen could speak, Mu Xingyan looked at one of the young men and said jokingly, Your cultivation level is so high that you can definitely defeat me. However, there are so many people watching today. Do you dare to suppress your cultivation level? Without waiting for the young man to speak, Mu Xingyan quickly added, You only need to suppress your cultivation level to that of an upper-level emperor god. I'll fight with you as an ultimate god. How about that? To be honest, the young emperor who was challenged by Mu Xingyan definitely did not want to accept the challenge. After all, if he fought Mu Xingyan with his peak cultivation, he could defeat Mu Xingyan in an instant and smoothly advance to the next round. But just as Mu Xingyan said, there were so many people watching. He also wanted to save face. If he were to defeat an ultimate god with the strength of an emperor, he would be ridiculed. Moreover, Mu Xingyan's request wasn't overboard. He only wanted the other party to suppress his cultivation to the God-Emperor realm. That's what you said. I originally wanted to suppress my cultivation level to the Hierarch realm so that we could have a fair fight. But now, I'll fulfill your wish. The young man's face was full of mockery as his eyes were filled with contempt. So, what if he suppressed his cultivation? In his eyes, Mu Xingyan was ultimately not good enough. Then, the young man suppressed his cultivation and the battle began. Boom! However, the moment the battle began, everyone saw a shadow appear behind Mu Xingyan. Then, like a black shadow, the shadow rushed in front of the young man. Before the young man could react, the shadow exploded and Mu Xingyan's physical body collapsed. Blood and broken bones were everywhere, and there were even fragments of Tao souls floating in the air. All of a sudden, everyone was stupefied. What? He self-destructed? So ruthless? Both his physical body and Tao soul self-destructed at the same time? Does he want to die in order to win? Everyone exclaimed, especially in Ming and in Yi. When they saw this scene, their faces darkened. They would rather not enter the Great Thousand Graveyard than lose a genius like Mu Xingyun. At this moment, the young man was lying on the ground, twitching. He never dreamed that Mu Xingyun would be so ruthless. But so what? Now Mu Xingyun was dead, and he was still alive. Although he was seriously injured, he still won the battle. Interesting, this Tao skill is really harmful to the enemy. Jiang Chen squinted, and the runes in his eyes flashed. He saw the blood and broken bones on the ground vibrating slightly. At the same time, the broken Tao soul of the shadow was slowly condensing. Buzz! The next moment, a loud sound was heard. Everyone saw the blood and broken bones gathering together, and the Tao soul of the shadow reappeared. After 3 breaths, Mu Xingyun appeared in front of everyone with a pale face. His aura was very weak. Obviously, he was seriously injured. However, compared to the young man, Mu Xingyun's injuries were nothing. At that moment, Mu Xingyun walked a few steps forward and arrived in front of the young man. Then, he slowly squatted down and looked at the young man who was lying on the ground, unable to move. He jokingly said, "I won." "You." The young man was almost angered to death. He finally realized that Mu Xingyun was not self-destructing. It was a secret Tao skill. He had sacrificed 800 of his own to hurt 1,000 of his enemy. Are all geniuses like you so arrogant? It's fine if you agreed to suppress your cultivation level, but you were so careless. Mu Xingyun mocked. Now are you feeling better? I hate it. The young man was furious. However, he could not get up and had lost the ability to fight. Finally, the Holy Sky Royal Lord announced that Mu Xingyun had won the battle. Decisive, witty, and courageous. Not bad. The Holy Sky Royal Lord looked at Mu Xingyun and thought that if he was not the holy son of the Court of the Night, he would be suitable to be the son-in-law of the Holy Sky Royal Lord. Holy Sky Royal Lord. What do you think of my holy son? What do you think of him being the son-in-law of the Holy Sky Royal Lord? And Yi said proudly, the reputation of the Court of the Night is not good, and the things they do are not good. The Holy Sky Royal Lord's face darkened. I'm afraid there are not many forces in the world who would want to marry the Court of the Night. At least, the Holy Sky Royal Lord will not agree. F***CK. What's wrong with the Court of the Night? Sometimes, the things that you so-called righteous sects do are not as righteous as the Court of the Night. And Yi said angrily, all right, let's continue. The Holy Sky Royal Lord clearly did not want to dwell on this topic. After waving his hand, he looked at Jiang Chen and said, what about you? Who will you choose? Jiang Chen couldn't help but blink. Smiling bitterly, he said, it doesn't matter who I choose. Who do you think you can beat with your cultivation level? Unless the other party suppresses their cultivation level. You. What cultivation level do you want me to suppress? If it's not too much, I can agree. Kid, I advise you to back out now. You don't want to suffer. Many people spoke out one after another. Their words carried an extremely strong sense of contempt. Jiang Chen did not care about this. In his heart, it was the same no matter who he chose. After all, the difference in cultivation level was too big. If he wanted to win, he had to win with a single blow. This way, it would be the same no matter who he chose. Can I fight with you at the same cultivation level? Suddenly, Ling Long spoke up and requested that he suppress his cultivation level to the Holy King level. Chapter 1232. Many people did not expect Ling Long to suddenly speak. Ling Long had always been cold and aloof, giving people a feeling that she was untainted by the mortal world. Many people thought that Ling Long would not be able to put down her pride and would only fight with someone of the same cultivation level. I will not bully you. I will fight with you at the same cultivation level, Ling Long said. Jiang Chun was taken aback. Looking at Ling Long with an odd expression, he asked, "Are you sure?" "I am sure." Ling Long nodded and said, "Although you have not fought, I can see that you are not ordinary. You have rich battle experience. You know that, and you still want to fight with me at the same cultivation level?" Jiang Chun said softly and asked in confusion, "With your cultivation level, you can easily defeat me if you do not suppress your cultivation level." "I'm just curious," Ling Long said. "You are a cultivator of the Divine King realm. Why do you have such rich battle experience?" "This, I've seen more and more," Jiang Chun said. After saying that, Jiang Chun took a step forward and stood in the middle of the square. He looked at Ling Long and confirmed again, "You have to think carefully. If you lose, you will not be able to enter the finals. Do not act on impulse." "I will not lose," Ling Long said softly in the air. Her figure was graceful, and she stepped into the square like a fairy. After that, she actually suppressed her cultivation level to that of a divine king in front of everyone. Moreover, it was only a lower divine king. This time, Jiang Chun was completely dumbfounded. At the same time, he was laughing in his heart. "Same cultivation level? Heh. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Let's begin." Ling Long did not want to take advantage of Jiang Chun. She stretched out her hand towards Jiang Chun and said, "I will let you make a move. You make the first move. This you won't cry, will you?" Jiang Chun murmured. Ling Long frowned and thought that she had heard wrongly. However, before she could react, Jiang Chun appeared in front of her like a shooting star. Then, he struck out with his palm. The divine power in his palm exploded and surged like a tidal wave. Facing his palm, Ling Long didn't even have the chance to react. She was hit in the chest by Jiang Chun directly. Then she was sent flying. F***CK. This brat. Why didn't he control his strength? Where did you hit? At this moment, cries of surprise rang out from all around, especially from the younger generation. When they saw Jiang Chun's palm strike on Ling Long's chest, they felt as though their hearts were being squeezed. However, at this moment, Jiang Chun had yet to react. Looking at Ling Long, who had collapsed in the distance, he felt as if he was bullying her. He walked over to Ling Long's side and stretched out a hand, asking, "Are you all right?" "Shameless." Who would have thought that Ling Long would glare at Jiang Chun and call him shameless? She even flung away Jiang Chun's hand and struggled to stand up. Jiang Chun was stunned and only reacted after a few breaths. He lowered his head and looked at his palm. His face instantly turned red. "It's not what you think. I didn't do it on purpose," Jiang Chun explained. However, Ling Long's face turned red. She snorted coldly and ignored Jiang Chun. She turned around and walked away. Jiang Chun was embarrassed. He pointed at his right hand and said, "Don't blame me, brat. You're really shameless." Ling Long is the #1 beauty in the Southern Star region. How dare you attack her chest in front of so many people? If this gets out, her admirers will line up from the Southern Star region to the Eastern Star region to kill you. Brat, it's fine if you lose, but now, although you won, something bad is going to happen. Some people scolded angrily, while others reminded Jiang Chun to be careful of Ling Long's admirers. To this, Jiang Chun was too lazy to explain. He said casually, "Anyway, I won now." When the crowd heard this, they finally reacted. Jiang Chun and Ling Long were at the same level, but he defeated Ling Long in one move. This kind of combat power, there was probably only 1 or 2 left, right? His combat power is at least on par with an emperor god. At this moment, Ling Long stood at the edge of the square and suddenly spoke. A trace of anger appeared in her cold eyes, but it also gave people a sense of cunning. Obviously, Ling Long was trying to expose Jiang Chun's background. When Jiang Chun heard this, he was furious. "Didn't I accidentally touch your chest? Is there a need to expose me?" Now, when the final battle starts, his opponent will most likely be wary of him and probably won't suppress their cultivation level anymore. "It's hard to get along with women in this world," Jiang Chun said with a long sigh. "What did you say?" Ling Long's face froze as she stared at Jiang Chun. Her body exuded a terrifying emperor's aura. After a few breaths, she opened her mouth again and said, "When the Star Region Academy battle ends, I will look for you to spar." "No, I don't want to fight a second round with a loser." Jiang Chun didn't give her any face and turned his head away, leaving the back of his head to Ling Long was about to explode, but she didn't say anything. When she looked at Jiang Chun, the trace of anger in her eyes became more intense. She didn't have any killing intent, but she was very angry. Jiang Chun naturally wasn't in the mood to watch the following battles. After all, there was only one more battle before the finals. At this moment, he suddenly heard the Holy Sky Royal Emperor's voice. At the same time, Hong Yun also looked at him. "My young friend Jiang Chun, you're only a divine king, but you're able to contend with a divine emperor. You're a rare genius," the Sacred Sky Lord said through holy awareness. "Do you have a doctrine companion?" Jiang Chun shook his head and said, "No, but I do have a few female disciples who are prettier than your Sanfeng." Air. The Holy Sky Royal Emperor was confused. He didn't expect Jiang Chun to give such an answer. You have a disciple?" The Holy Sky Royal Emperor asked. "With your cultivation level, who would want to be your disciple?" "That's none of your business," Jiang Chun said unhappily. "Do you want me to marry into the Holy Sky Empire?" "I don't want to. After all, there are many people like you," the Holy Sky Royal Emperor said honestly. Jiang Chun couldn't help but smile with a hint of mockery. He pointed at Hong Yun and said, "I do want to marry into the Holy Sky Empire, but I don't think he will agree to it." Before Jiang Chun and the Holy Sky Royal Emperor could speak again, Hong Yun's face darkened. He said in a low voice, "What? Is the Holy Sky Empire so arrogant now? They even dare to snatch someone from the Supreme Heavenly Palace? You want him to marry into the Holy Sky Empire? A disciple from the Supreme Heavenly Palace marrying into the Holy Sky Empire? Are you worthy?" At this moment, the Holy Sky Royal Emperor was dumbfounded. He had always thought that Hong Yun was an ancestor of the Heavenly Palace, but he didn't expect Hong Yun to be from the Supreme Heavenly Palace. Although the Royal Lord of the Holy Heavens did not know how strong the Supreme Heavenly Palace was, he had heard of their reputation. "My friend, I was just joking with my young friend Jiang Chun." The Sacred Heaven Emperor wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He couldn't help but wonder who Jiang Chun was. Was he really a disciple of the Supreme Heavenly Palace? Chapter 1233. Very few people knew about the Supreme Heavenly Palace, but those who did were extremely fearful of it. This was an ancient sect that had been passed down for several generations. It was said that those who came out of the Supreme Heavenly Palace were all supreme beings who dominated a region, especially the extraordinaries in the Supreme Heavenly Palace. Their battle prowess was far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. At this moment, the Holy Sky Royal Lord was shocked and regretful. He had thought highly of the youths from the other three academies, but now it seemed that he had misjudged them. If he had known that Jiang Chun was a disciple of the Supreme Heavenly Palace, he would have curried favor with him no matter what, not to mention that he had sparred with Jiang Chun from the side. Although the Holy Sky Dynasty has a strong foundation and monopolizes the central galaxy, it is nothing compared to the Supreme Heavenly Palace. This time, I have to seize the opportunity. The Holy Sky Royal Lord thought to himself. It was not without reason that he could sit on the throne of the Royal Lord and control the central galaxy for several generations. His way of doing things, and his meticulous thoughts allowed him to resolve many crises and rope in many top experts and forces. Now, he had decided that no matter what he did, he had to rope in the Supreme Heavenly Palace. Since it was difficult to rope in the Supreme Heavenly Palace, he could only start with the disciples of the Supreme Heavenly Palace. Rest for 15 minutes before the finals. The Holy Sky Royal Lord looked calm on the surface, but his heart was in turmoil. He was conversing with Sheng Lu Shui and Sheng Lulan, asking them what they thought of Jiang Chun. "This person's cultivation is too low." Sheng Lulan frowned and secretly sent a voice transmission. Previously, when I was fighting, he was pointing at me from the side. It was really annoying. Hearing this, the Holy Sky Royal Lord's face darkened slightly, but he did not tell Sheng Lulan about Jiang Chen's identity. Then, he asked Sheng Lu Shui. Sheng Lu Shui was the eldest sister of the three phoenixes. She had a good personality and was very calm. Other than throwing a tantrum sometimes, she was usually very obedient. Moreover, Sheng Lu Shui had always a good taste. Royal Lord, this world is ruled by strength. His cultivation is indeed too low. Sheng Lu Shui sighed. He is handsome, but what's the use? If one's cultivation base is too low, if one is unable to mature, one will just be a wisp of smoke in history. Are you looking down on him? The Holy Heavens Emperor asked. Not at all. If your cultivation is higher, I can consider it, but in the end, the Heavenly Emperor's face darkened. He couldn't understand why the third phoenix had such bad taste. He defeated Ling Long with a single palm strike. Just based on this point, could it be that you can't tell anything? Looks like he's gotten used to living like a prince. Even his vision has been clouded. The Heavenly Emperor sighed inwardly. At this moment, while everyone was resting, Ling Long walked over to Jiang Chen's side. Her phoenix-like eyes stared at Jiang Chen. Her face, under the veil, was faintly discernible, causing one's imagination to run wild. What's wrong? What's up? Jiang Chen asked. Shouldn't you be apologizing? Ling Long's voice was very pleasant to the ears. It was cold and clear, just like the clear water in winter. Her entire body exuded an aura that made people unable to get close to her. She was like a fairy who had transcended the mortal world. However, to Jiang Chen, so what if she was beautiful? Which of his disciples wasn't beautiful? Could beauty be eaten? Could it be used to avenge the six realms? Could it be used to revive the ancestral realm? None of it. As for Jiang Chen, he had done a lot of cruel things in his life. Why should I apologize? Jiang Chen retorted. Just because of that palm strike? Forget it. A battle between cultivators is a fight between hands and feet. I didn't do it on purpose. With that, Jiang Chen muttered, It's not that big. You. Ling Long's face turned red. Her eyes were about to spit fire. She glared at Jiang Chen and said coldly, You're too much. What's too much? At most, I'll let you hit my chest too, Jiang Chen said snappily. Besides, there's still clothes between us. Look at how pretentious you are. When Jiang Chen said that, not to mention Ling Long, even Mu Xingyun, who was next to her, was speechless. Even Hong Yun and the group of extraordinaries who were standing in the air heard that. At this moment, they didn't know what to say, as expected of someone valued by the supreme heavenly palace. This level of shamelessness has probably surpassed the mortal world, Hong Yun thought to himself. He was also frustrated. When Jiang Chen had been a heavenly star, he had not been like this. Could it be that the Jiang Chen in this life had completely let go? I want to fight with you again. Ling Long's face was gloomy. After holding it in for a long time, she said, This time, you're a divine king, and I'm a divine venerable. Not to mention a divine venerable. Even if a divine emperor comes, I'll suppress him with a raise of my hand. Jiang Chen pursed his lips. Others call you geniuses, but in my eyes, you're nothing. If I'm a divine venerable now, so what if you're a divine emperor? I'll still suppress you with a raise of my hand. Jiang Chen said seriously. Suddenly, he thought of Hong Yun's battle strength. Previously, in the Elder Hall of Tong Tian Garden, Hong Yun had displayed his battle strength. He had suppressed the two young divine emperors, Mu Zhu and Lin Hao, with his divine king cultivation. That kind of battle strength was rare and peerless. But Ling Kong didn't believe this. Her foundation was that of a peak divine emperor. Even if she suppressed her cultivation to a divine venerable, her foundation was still there. She didn't believe that with her divine venerable and divine emperor foundation, she couldn't defeat a divine king. As long as you agree to fight with me again, I'll agree to one condition, Ling Kong said in a low voice. She was very unconvinced and unhappy. Condition? Jiang Chen blinked and looked Ling Long up and down. But before he could speak, Ling Long's eyes flashed coldly, and she shouted, "Normal conditions. Don't go overboard." Huh? Are you thinking the wrong way? I'm just looking at you. I'm not thinking of anything else. Jiang Chun said impatiently. I can agree to fight with you again, but you have to pay me an appearance fee. I won't fight without 10,000 source crystal. But, looking at you, you don't look like a rich person. When he said this, Mu Xingyan almost choked. Brother, what are you talking about? Are you that greedy? Even Mu Zhu was flabbergasted. He knew that Jiang Qin was very rich, but even so, he was still thinking of earning money. I'm the holy lady of Xianling sect, not to mention 10,000 source crystal. I'll even have 100,000 source crystal. Ling Long was about to explode. She felt that she was being looked down upon by Jiang Chun. When Jiang Chun heard this, he said seriously, 100,000 source crystal. Let's fight now. You choose the location and cultivation level. F***CK. Greedy, greedy, and stingy. Shameless. Mu Zhu and Mu Xingyan cursed in their hearts. They had never seen someone as shameless as Jiang Chun. Chapter 1234. Ling Long was cold and aloof. Although she looked uncompetitive, she was actually very prideful. Previously, she was defeated by Jiang Chun in one move and was filled with anger. Naturally, she wanted to regain her dignity. To her, as the holy maiden of Xianling sect, she had a strong foundation. How could she not take out a mere source crystal? At this moment, Ling Long nodded without hesitation. All right, I'll give you the source crystal. Let's fight now. Here? There are so many people here. Isn't it inappropriate? Jiang Chun frowned as he mumbled. What's inappropriate about it? Ling Long asked with a puzzled look. Jiang Chun couldn't help but smile when he heard that. He said seriously, you've already lost once. If you lose again, you'll lose all your face. I won't lose again. Ling Long's face was frosty. She felt humiliated. Previously, Ling Long did not expect Jiang Chun to be so strong and was careless. That was why she was defeated by Jiang Chun in one move. Of course, that was what she thought. Now, Jiang Chun actually dared to say such words. Wasn't that an insult to her? Let's start now. Ling Long's face darkened as she suppressed her cultivation to the supreme God realm. Without waiting for Jiang Chun to react, she struck out with her palm. The runes on her palm danced like stars. Boom! With a loud explosion, the crowd saw Ling Long's palm land squarely on Jiang Chun's chest. However, something unexpected happened. Jiang Chun smiled and looked down at the fair palm on his chest. He said jokingly, let's call it even. You. Ling Long stared at him. She had exerted her full power, but Jiang Chun was still fine. Just as she was in shock, Jiang Chun struck out with his palm and grabbed Ling Long's wrist. Then Jiang Chun attacked. He threw him over his shoulder right away. Bang! A dull thud rang out. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, Jiang Chun flung Ling Long onto the ground. Then, without waiting for Ling Long to react, Jiang Chun struck out with his palm and pressed it between Ling Long's eyebrows. You lost again, Jiang Chun said sarcastically. With a teasing look on his face, he said, do you want to have another go? As long as you're willing to give me the source crystal, I can continue fighting with you. After saying that, Jiang Chun laughed. Of course, as long as you give me enough source crystal, I don't mind losing to you once. After Ling Long was thrown over his shoulder by Jiang Chun, the divine power in his body was scattered, and he became even more dizzy. At this moment, after hearing these words, her face turned even paler. It was obvious that she was about to explode from anger. She glared at Jiang Chun angrily. She was so angry that she flung away Jiang Chun's hand. Then, while Jiang Chun was caught off guard, Ling Long pointed her finger and a ray of light exploded. The mystic light was extremely dazzling, and there was even an ethereal figure floating within the mystic light, just like an immortal puppet. Jiang Chun did not expect Ling Long to attack when she had already lost. Caught off guard, Jiang Chun was hit by the finger and flew out like a kite with a broken string. Along the way, blood splattered, giving off a reddish-gold glow, like a river of stars. Upon witnessing Jiang Chun being sent flying, Ling Long came back to her senses and realized that she had gone too far. She wanted to explain and even apologize. However, before she could speak, Jiang Chun stood up from afar. Buzz! At this moment, the crowd could feel the aura that exploded from Jiang Chun's body. It was like he was a completely different person. He stared at Ling Long coldly and said softly, "Do you have to let me destroy you before you know your mistake?" Ling Long wanted to explain, but her pupils suddenly shrank. This was because Jiang Chun had rushed over. His speed was too fast, like a ray of light shuttling through the void. When he appeared again, his fist was already on Ling Long's face. Bang! Another dull sound was heard. The crowd saw Ling Long spitting out blood and flying out. Even the veil on her face was shattered. However, this was not the end. Jiang Chun was enraged. "No matter who you are, so what if you're the most beautiful woman in the Southern Star region? I will still beat you up." Boom! Boom! Next, Jiang Chun kept throwing punches, not giving Ling Long any chance to retaliate. In just a few seconds, Ling Long was hit by Jiang Chun more than 100 times. All the bones in her body were broken, and even her beautiful face was beaten into a pig's head by Jiang Chun. F***ck. He really is ruthless. This guy, doesn't he know how to be gentle? Such a beautiful face was beaten into a pig's head by him. Many people had strange looks on their faces, wondering if Jiang Chun was still a man. Even Ling Long herself was stunned. No man had ever hit her like this before, especially when he hit her face. This was intolerable. "You're looking for shit." After a few seconds, Ling Long found an opportunity. With a roar, she unlocked her cultivation and rose to the imperial state. However, as her face was swollen and a few of her teeth had fallen out, she could not speak properly. Originally, she said looking for death, but after saying it out loud, it became looking for shit. At this moment, Jiang Chun had vented enough. When he saw that Ling Long's cultivation had returned to the imperial state, he turned around and ran to Hong Yun. With a smile on his face, he said, "Boss, can you handle the rest?" "You." Hong Yun did not know what to say. He secretly thought that Jiang Chun was too shameless in this life. However, since Jiang Chun had spoken, Hong Yun naturally had to take action. He stared at Ling Long and said, "Let's stop this. He's gone too far." Ling Long's face darkened. With the help of her divine power, her face had recovered. However, she was still angry. "I went too far? How can an ordinary person withstand that finger of yours? If I wasn't strong enough, that finger attack would have killed me." Jiang Chun said in a deep voice, "What? Do you think you're at a disadvantage? You should know that if I had died just now, not only you, but the entire Xianling sect would have to die with me." Ling Long was stunned when she heard this. She did not know Jiang Chun's identity, nor did she know that Hong Yun was from the Supreme Heavenly Palace. "Ling Long, I heard that you swore before that you would marry anyone who could remove your veil. Is that true?" Suddenly, a rather handsome young man spoke up. When he asked this question, he wished that Ling Long would tell him that it was false and a rumor. However, after hearing this, Ling Long's expression froze. She touched her face with anger in her eyes. However, after a few breaths, she nodded and said, "It's true. F***ck? Then you mean you won't marry anyone other than Jiang Chun? What kind of oath did you make back then?" Many young people's hearts were broken. How could this work? After beating Ling Long up, he still won the beauty's heart? How could there be such a good thing in this world? Chapter 1235. The ground was filled with the sound of heartbreak, and some people's eyes were filled with jealousy. After all, Ling Long was not only the most beautiful woman in the Southern Starfield, but she was also very powerful. And the Xianling sect behind her was one of the top forces in the Southern Starfield. If he married Ling Long, not only would he have a powerful partner, but he would also have the support of the Xianling sect. The future leader of the Xianling sect would be Ling Long. However, Jiang Chen was not interested in this at all. He glanced at Ling Long, frowned, and mumbled, "Do I have to marry you just because you wanna?" "No." At this moment, everyone was stunned. "Are you kidding me? Such a beautiful and powerful girl wants to marry you, and you don't want her? Is there something wrong with your sexual orientation? Or you don't like anyone else? You, don't go overboard." Ling Long's face was frosty, and she said coldly, in front of so many people, "You humiliated me again and again. Do you think I won't kill you?" "I didn't humiliate you," Jiang Chun said calmly. "At first, you wanted to challenge me at the same cultivation level. Then, you spent money to challenge me. Now, you want to marry me. I've always been the passive one." Ling Long heard this and was stunned for a moment, unable to say anything. What else could she say? At least in her heart, a normal man would not say something like this. His moral integrity was simply low, and he had no face to speak of. His disciples are all talented and beautiful. He doesn't like you, haha. Mu Xingyun teased. He only has those few disciples in his heart. You have disciples? How many disciples do you have? Are they all women? Are they as beautiful as Ling Long? Suddenly, many people asked curiously. At the same time, they were confused. How could Jiang Chun, the deity king, have the face to accept disciples? In the greater world, even the emperor did not dare to accept disciples for fear of being ridiculed. Would it kill you to speak less? Jiang Chun glared at Mu Xingyun, then shook his head at Ling Long and said, "It was a mistake just now, so I took off your veil. Please don't take it to heart. You can do it." Ling Long glared at Jiang Chun. On her peerless face, there was not only anger, but also resentment and grievance. A woman like her had actually been rejected. Moreover, he had rejected her in front of so many people. For a moment, Ling Long did not want to say anything, nor did she know what to say. She walked to the side quietly and returned to the side of an elder of Xianling's sect. "Little Ling Long, there are many good men in the world. Why do you care about this little bastard?" Just as everyone thought that this matter had come to an end, the elder of Xianling's sect spoke up casually. As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere of the audience immediately became stifling. Because by now, many people could tell that Jiang Chen's identity was not ordinary. Now that the elder of Xianling's sect dared to humiliate Jiang Chen, this matter would not be settled peacefully. Indeed, without waiting for Jiang Chen to speak, Hong Yun's face was already ashen. The aura of an extraordinary exploded, as if a king had descended. At this moment, even the other extraordinary beings felt immense pressure. Those with weaker cultivation were even trembling, and some were even pressed to the ground by this aura. Xianling's sect has been very arrogant recently, Hong Yun said softly, staring at the elder of Xianling's sect. His eyelids drooped slightly as he said, "Why? Has Xianling's sect found a backer now? Don't try to scare me with your cultivation as an extraordinary being. We also have extraordinary beings in Xianling's sect." The elder of Xianling's sect said coldly, standing on the spot without fear. "You better shut up. He is from the Supreme Heavenly Palace." The Sacred Sky Emperor said hurriedly, glaring at the elder. He did not want to blow this matter up. After all, this was the Sacred Sky Dynasty. If something big happened, the Sacred Sky Dynasty would not be able to bear the responsibility. However, to everyone's surprise, the elder of Xianling's sect was only surprised for a moment when she heard the words Supreme Heavenly Palace. Then, she regained her composure. In fact, when he looked at Hong Yun, there was even a hint of provocation in his eyes. "You may not know this, but Xianling's sect has already formed an alliance with the Chong and tribe. Now, in the Southern Star Zone, no one dares to say a word when Xianling's sect says a word." The elder raised his eyebrows, staring at Hong Yun, and said disdainfully, "I have long heard of the great name of the Supreme Heavenly Palace, but I do not know how strong it is. Is it just an empty name or—" Boom! Hong Yun did not show any mercy. He struck out with his palm, pinning the elder of Xianling's sect to the ground. Then, he stared coldly at the elder and said in an extremely cold voice, insulting the supreme heavenly palace? In the entire great thousand world, how many people would dare to say such words to the extraordinary of the supreme heavenly palace? Even if your sect leader were here, he would not dare. You. At that moment, the elder's expression changed, but his eyes were filled with anger. He struggled to get up and pointed at Hong Yun in front of everyone, saying, "Do you believe that one word from me and the Chang'an tribe will cross the star zone and come here?" "I believe you." Hong Yun nodded and said calmly, "So what if I believe you? If they dare to come, we will suppress them. The supreme heavenly palace has never feared anything." "All right, just you wait." The elder of Xianling's sect's face darkened. He immediately made a hand seal and spread the news. "That, everyone, why don't we hold the Star Zone Academy battle first?" The Sacred Sky Emperor wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, feeling even more guilty. He had also heard that ever since the six realms were destroyed, a force had entered the southern star zone and called themselves the Chang'an tribe. In the beginning, everyone did not care about the Chang'an tribe. They thought that they were just a bunch of survivors who had escaped from the six realms and were not worth their time. But as time passed, and the Chang'an tribe occupied one world after another in the southern star zone, they realized that the Chang'an tribe was not simple. In fact, the Chang'an tribe had the backing of the various evil races. And now, the Chang'an tribe had formed an alliance with Xianling's sect. The Chang'an tribe was the strongest in the southern star zone. Now, if the Chang'an tribe came and went against the supreme heavenly palace, it would be hard to avoid a huge battle. The Sacred Sky Emperor had thought it through. If they wanted to fight, they should fight elsewhere. Don't fight in the Sacred Sky Emperor dynasty. Let's end the Star Zone Academy battle first. I will wait here for the Chang'an tribe to come." Hong Yun said softly, "I just want to see how capable the Chang'an tribe, who has been causing a ruckus recently, is. You will find out soon enough. You will regret it then," the elder of Xianling's sect said coldly. Chapter 1236. The competition of the Star Zone Academies went on. As for Jiang Chun, the final match was not a big deal. There were only 3 people left in the finals: Jiang Chun, Mu Xingyun, and a disciple from the Rising Sun Academy. Before the battle even started, Mu Xingyun admitted defeat. As such, only Jiang Chun and the Rising Sun Academy disciple were left to fight for the championship. The Rising Sun Academy disciple's cultivation had reached the half-step transcendent level. His strength was not below Ling Long's. However, because Jiang Chun had fought before, this person was especially cautious against Jiang Chun. Jiang Chun also knew that it was basically impossible to let the other party fight with him at the same cultivation level. Even if he asked the other party to suppress his cultivation level to that of a god emperor, the other party would probably not agree. As such, Jiang Chun could only use his cultivation level to fight with the other party in his strongest state. As for how to fight this battle, Jiang Chun had already thought about it. Just admit defeat. "I won't be like some people and suppress their cultivation to fight you," said Yi Futian. At this moment, the Rising Sun Academy disciple stood in the middle of the square like a king. He did not even look at Jiang Chun. In his heart, with his half-step transcendent level cultivation, he could suppress Jiang Chun with a flick of his finger. There was no need to fight this battle at all. However, Jiang Chun still walked over and stood in the square with a smile on his face. When he opened and closed his eyes, he seemed very calm. He looked at the young man and nodded. "At such a young age, you already have a half-step transcendent level cultivation. You are indeed very strong, as expected of the Rising Sun Academy's disciple. It's good that you know," the young man said softly with a trace of arrogance in his eyes. "Hurry up and admit defeat. There is no need to fight this battle." Jiang Chun nodded and smiled. Indeed, in the eyes of many, this battle is not necessary. But to me, perhaps I can give it a try. After saying that, Jiang Chun pointed to the sky and asked, "What do you see?" As soon as these words were spoken, many people's expressions changed. They all looked up, wondering what Jiang Chun had done. Even the young man who was fighting Jiang Chen looked at the sky nervously, afraid that something unexpected would happen. Just like that, Jiang Chen pointed to the sky and didn't say a word. The young man also looked up at the sky nervously, as if he was looking for something. 30 breaths later, everyone began to wonder. Looking up, the sky was blue and extremely calm. There was nothing at all. Even the young man was depressed. He looked at Jiang Chen and asked, "What's in the sky?" "It's nothing. I wanted you to take a look." Jiang Chen joked, "Look at how blue and beautiful the sky is." At this moment, everyone was furious and their faces were gloomy. They had obviously been tricked by Jiang Chen. "Are you stalling for time?" The young man's expression turned ugly. His aura erupted and he was about to attack. Hearing that, Jiang Chen nodded with a smile and said, "Yes, I am stalling for time." After saying that, Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes and said jokingly, "Now, time's up." Huh. The young man was shocked. He knew that he had been tricked by Jiang Chen. The next moment he directly attacked. His palm pressed down, and the great Tao trembled in his palm. However, before the palm landed on Jiang Chen, a shadow appeared behind him. Then, like a flash of lightning, it directly penetrated the young man's body and nailed him to the ground. "By the way, you didn't know that I know arrays, right?" Jiang Chen said with a smile. "I asked you to look at the sky, and you really looked at it? And you looked at it for so long? You really gave me a headache." After saying that, Jiang Chen walked to the young man step by step. His finger gently pressed between the young man's eyebrows and said, "You lost." At this moment, the young man's expression was extremely ugly. His eyes were about to spit fire. He had been on guard against Jiang Chen, but he never thought that Jiang Chen's trick, of course. He did not expect that Jiang Chen actually knew arrays. Moreover, the way this arrays was set up was too brilliant. He actually did not notice it. Now, it was too late to say anything. He was nailed to the ground by the lightning condensed by the arrays. Jiang Chen's finger was pressed between his eyebrows. As long as Jiang Chen used a little force, he could take his life. Needless to say, Jiang Chen had won this battle. "Boy, you cheated. So many people are watching. If it was a normal battle, how could you win?" The few elders from the Sunrise Academy were furious and unwilling to accept this outcome. In response, Jiang Chen looked indifferent. He then looked at the Holy Sky Emperor and asked, "Did I win?" When the Holy Sky Emperor heard this, he fell silent for a while. He really did not want to admit that Jiang Chen had won. After all, the difference in their cultivation levels was too great. If it was a normal battle, Jiang Chen would have lost without a doubt. However, the truth was in front of them. The one who was suppressed was not Jiang Chen, but the disciple from the Sunrise Academy. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too careless. The Holy Sky Emperor sighed. Then his expression turned serious and he announced, "The winner of the Star Region Academy battle is Jiang Chen from the Tongtian Gardens." "I don't accept this." With his strength, who would believe him? This doesn't count. Many people voiced out their opinions. They could accept anyone being the champion, but to let a kid at the Divine King realm take the champion was something they couldn't accept. The truth is in front of you. "I won, so I won," Jiang Chen said softly. He looked at the crowd and mocked, "Why? Can't you afford to lose? Kid, you use some underhanded means? Despicable, treacherous." Someone could not hold it in and scolded. "Oh, I used an array, and that's despicable? Treacherous? Then may I ask for an array master, if he doesn't use an array, what should he use?" Jiang Chen said, "To be honest, I still think that you guys can't afford to lose." After that, Jiang Chen looked at Hong Yun and asked, "These people can't afford to lose. What should I do? Does my position as the winner still count? Who dares to say no?" Hong Yun's expression turned serious. A terrifying aura exploded, and even the few extraordinaires standing beside him shuddered. It was all because Hong Yun was truly too strong. His combat strength and cultivation level were unfathomable. The people from the Supreme Heavenly Palace are so impressive. At this moment, the elder from Xianling's sect spoke up again. He straightened his back and pointed into the distance. "They're here. Are you ready? When have I ever been afraid?" Hong Yun said coldly. In the next moment, a large group of living beings appeared in the distance. Their auras were very powerful, and the three leading them were extraordinaires. They had come, charging over like an army. Even Hong Yun's expression became serious. But in the next moment, when this group of living beings from the Chong and tribe landed on the square, everyone was shocked. "Greetings, boss! Greetings, boss!" A series of deafening voices sounded. Then, this group of people, including the three extraordinaires, knelt down and bowed to one person. Chapter 1237. Everyone was dumbfounded as they watched the three extraordinaires leading the group of experts from the Chong and clan kneel down in unison and pay their respects to the same person. And that person was none other than Jiang Chun. "This card is really impressive," Jiang Chun chuckled, thinking that Nian Chang'e really knew how to handle things. "We are here on the orders of the clan leader to follow boss's orders," the leader said. Jiang Chun waved his hand and said, "Get up, there's nothing else here." "Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss." Everyone cheered and stood up one by one, standing beside Jiang Chun. At this moment, the elder of Xianling's sect was completely flabbergasted and in a state of disarray. He was the one who called these people over, but they didn't even look at him and ignored him. Most importantly, who was Jiang Chun? How could he make extraordinaires kneel down and pay their respects to him? Extraordinaires were the top fighting force in this world. They were like dragons looking down on the earth, high and mighty. How could ordinary people be worthy of a bow from them? "Why did you call us over? If there's anything, tell our boss." After a few breaths, one of the extraordinaires looked at the Xianling sect elder with a hint of arrogance in his eyes. He looked at the other party as if he was looking at an ant. Hearing this, the Xianling sect elder hurriedly squeezed out a smile and said respectfully, "An extraordinary from the Supreme Heavenly Palace has gotten into an argument with me and needs your help." "Oh, Supreme Heavenly Palace? This kind of power?" The three extraordinaires frowned, knowing that the Supreme Heavenly Palace was not to be trifled with. However, at that moment, they all obeyed Jiang Chun. The Xianling sect elders' words were insignificant to them. Although they were here today because of the Xianling sect elder, their main purpose was to meet their boss, Jiang Chun. Before they came, Nian Chang'e had made it clear to them that they had to give him face and call him boss loudly. "I am now a disciple of the Supreme Heavenly Palace, and he wants to deal with the Supreme Heavenly Palace. What do you think?" Jiang Chun looked at the group of extraordinaires with a half-smile. The moment he said that, the faces of the extraordinaires darkened. "What the hell? What the hell are you doing, Xianling sect elder? We just acknowledged our boss, and you're already messing with us?" At this moment, everyone could clearly feel the murderous intent in the eyes of the Chong and extraordinaires. And this murderous intent was directed at the Xianling sect elder. Instantly, the elder of Xianling sect felt as though she had fallen into an ice cellar. Her entire body turned cold, and her heart was about to shatter. Now that boss has become a disciple of the Supreme Heavenly Palace, our Chong and clan naturally has to maintain a good relationship with the Supreme Heavenly Palace. "And you actually want us to deal with the Supreme Heavenly Palace? I think you're tired of living. Do you really think that the Chong and tribe needs the support of Xianling sect? At the end of the day, Xianling sect is the one begging us." The three extraordinaires spoke one after another, not giving any face to the Xianling sect elder. Forget it, forget it. After all, Chong and extraordinaire is now on good terms with Xianling sect. Let's forget about it for now. Jiang Chun waved his hand, not wanting to put Nian Chang'e in a spot. However, Hong Yun's face was dark beyond words. Previously, this Xianling sect elder had repeatedly provoked him. To him, this was undoubtedly a humiliation. He came from the Supreme Heavenly Palace and was born to be a Supreme. How could he endure such humiliation? Boom! Before the crowd could even react, Hong Yun struck out with his palm, crushing the elder of Xianling's sect into dust. Only then can we let this matter pass. Han Yun said softly. Boss, as long as you are happy. Jiangchen smiled. You. Ling Long's face was pale. As the holy maiden of Xianling's sect, she was naturally upset to see her own elder killed. However, she also understood that if her elder had not provoked them first, she would not have ended up dead. However, to kill an elder of Xianling's sect in front of so many people, where would Xianling's sect put their face? Little girl, this has nothing to do with you. Even if you report this back to Xianling's sect, I don't think they will say anything. Jiangchen looked at Ling Long and said softly, Let's stop here. You, who are you? Ling Long asked with a frown. This was a question that everyone was concerned about. A disciple of Tongtian Garden? A disciple of the Supreme Heavenly Palace? The leader of the Chong and clan? Where did this person come from? At this moment, not only the emperors, even the other extraordinaires were shocked. The Star Region Academy battle is over. Are we too late? My lord, are you all right? Suddenly, a few extraordinaires tore through the void and appeared from afar. Each of them had a majestic aura, like a heavenly canopy, suppressing the Tao. Evil race, Great Void race, Jiang clan, Four Extreme race, Soul race. At this moment, the place was filled with exclamations. Everyone was shocked. This was because these people were all extraordinaires of the evil race. And after these people arrived, they were all respectfully addressing Jiang Chun as my lord. Jiang Qinquan, Supreme Heavens. Long time no see. Jiang Chen smiled and looked at the other two extraordinaires of the evil race. He nodded and said, Greetings, elders. What elders? We're all family. Don't be so polite. Yes, family. The two extraordinaires of the Four Extreme race and the Soul race laughed and patted Jiang Chen's shoulder as if they were close friends. Jiang Chen laughed. Naturally, he knew why these extraordinaires of the evil race were here. They were afraid that he would be at a disadvantage in the Star Region Academy battle. How is this kid related to the evil race? These extraordinaires of the evil race and he are of the same generation. How many races does this kid have connections with? If we touch him, wouldn't we be touching half of the great thousand world? Everyone was shocked, and even Han Yun was very surprised. He did not expect Jiang Chun to be doing so well in this life. Old brat Sheng Tian, is the Starfield Academy battle over yet? Who won? Is it my lord? If it wasn't for my lord, I think this Star Region Academy battle would have to start all over again. At this moment, Jiang Qinquan and the Supreme Heavens were not polite at all. They stared at the Shengtian Royal Lord, and the domineering intent in their words made the Royal Lord of the Shengtian Royal Lord tense up. The Royal Lord of the Shengtian Royal Lord was strong, but compared to the entire evil race, what was he? If the evil race did not have a bad relationship with each other, and if they were united one day, not to mention the Shengtian Royal Lord of the Shengtian Royal Lord, even the top forces would not be able to stop the evil race. Chapter 1238. Everyone was shocked. The few famous races and forces in the Great Thousand World had all come, and they were all extraordinaires. This meant that they valued Jiang Chun very much. At this moment, the Holy Sky Emperor felt guilty. He hurriedly said, The winner this time is Jiang Chun. That's right. That's good. Otherwise, we'll think that the Star Domain Academy battle is fake. The Supreme Heavens and the others nodded. As members of the evil race, they did whatever they wanted and did not care about what others said. If Jiang Chun did not win today, they would not mind starting a new battle for the Star Domain Academy. This lineup, this card, Jiang Chun smiled bitterly. He thought to himself that after this day, he would really become famous in the Great Thousand World. When that time came, he did not know how much trouble he would cause. Then, the candidate to enter the Great Thousand Graveyard this year will be Tongtian Court, said the Holy Sky Emperor. After saying that, the Holy Sky Emperor's eyes flashed. He glanced at Jiang Chun and transmitted his voice to him. He said, "Can you take my 3 descendants with you?" When Jiangchen heard that, he did not even think about it and directly rejected. "No. You, give me some face. As long as you agree, the Holy Sky Emperor will owe you a favor." "How about it?" said the Holy Sky Emperor. However, Jiangchen still did not agree. "Why do I need the Holy Sky Emperor's favor? Is the Supreme Heavenly Palace not enough to support me? Is the Chang'an tribe not enough? Or is the evil race not important enough?" Jiangchen joked. "I don't need your Holy Sky Emperor." After saying that, Jiangchen did not bother with the Holy Sky Emperor anymore. His gaze fell on the 3 great virtues. "What? Don't you recognize me? We haven't seen each other in so long. Don't you want to come over and say hello?" Jiangchen said. As soon as he said that, the 3 great virtues hurriedly walked over. They abandoned their ancestral status and came before Jiangchen. They bowed and said respectfully, "Greetings, boss." "What? Oh my God! It can't be." What was the relationship between him and the 3 great ancestors? "Boss." At this moment, it wasn't just the others. Even the 3 foreign kinds were shaken. They couldn't believe it. What was the relationship between their ancestor-level venerable and Jiangchen? They actually called him boss? "You guys come over and greet the boss. Don't be rude. Can't you see that we're all calling him boss? Don't think that just because you have a high cultivation base, you don't have to come and pay your respects. Hurry up." The 3 great virtuous deities shouted at their own experts, not giving them any face at all. At this moment, the experts from the 3 demon tribes were stunned. Although they were unwilling, they still came over and called Jiangchen boss. "Look at how smug you are." After coming to the great wide world, life has been pretty good. Jiangchen narrowed his eyes and asked with a faint smile, "I haven't seen you for so long. Did you miss me?" The 3 Badana knew Jiangchen very well. They were also very clear about the meaning of Jiangchen's words. At this moment, Long Dade took out a divine medicine that shone with divine light and handed it to Jiangchen with both hands. With a sincere expression, he said, "Boss, I've been thinking about you day and night. It's been a long time since we last met. This is a little token of my appreciation." "Boss, we've also prepared it. It's been a long time since we last met. Of course, we have to show our filial piety to our boss." Niao Dade and Huang Dade also gave their own gifts, but in their hearts, they were looking down on Jiangchen. Damn it, this boss was good at everything, but he was stingy, and greedy. Especially to his own people, his greed and stinginess were simply unbearable. "Sensible." Jiangchen smiled and put away the gifts from the 3 great virtuous deities. Then, he looked at Mu Yud, who was not far away. "How about you? Long time no see. You've been doing well, right?" Jiangchen said with a smile. When Mu Yud heard this, he walked over with a black face and said, "I've dug up a few ancient tombs, but I didn't get anything good. I think that ancient war flag of yours is pretty good," Jiangchen said. When he heard this, Mu Yud's face froze, and he shook his head like a rattle drum. He said, "That's mine. I can't give it to you." "Oh, then do you want me to give you a gift?" Jiangchen asked. "I'm different from the 3 great virtuous deities. They call you boss, but I don't," Mu Yud said angrily. "Also, you have to be careful. Who knows when I dig up your body and throw it into the forbidden zone." This time, Jiangchen was speechless. What he was most afraid of now was that Mu Yud would really dig up his body from his previous life when he was robbing the tombs. Based on Mu Yud's character, once his body fell into his hands, it would be difficult for him to get it back. In fact, there might even be an accident. "Take it easy," Jiangchen said angrily. After that, Jiangchen felt that there were too many people here, so he brought them back to Tongtian Garden. Half a day later, on a mountain behind Tongtian Garden, the 4 great virtuous deities and Jiangchen sat together. They all had strange expressions on their faces. This was because Mu Yud had said something after they had gathered together. There might be a huge change in the Southern Galaxy, and this so-called huge change was not about Nianchanga unifying the Southern Galaxy. It was about an ancient inheritance preparing to destroy the Chang and family. Nyan Changa is one of us. If he's in trouble, we will naturally help him, Huang Dade said seriously. It was rare for him to be so serious. However, what made them feel helpless was that the ancient inheritance that Mu Yud had mentioned was most likely the heavenly court that had disappeared for a long time. If it was really the heavenly court, then even if Jiang Qin gathered all his forces and resources, he might not be able to fight against the heavenly court. After all, the heavenly court was known as one of the most powerful forces in the world. It was as famous as the ancient netherworld. If the ancient netherworld did not appear, the heavenly court would be invincible. Is the news reliable? Are you sure it's the heavenly court? Jiang Qin asked. It's the heavenly court, but it's not that heavenly court. Mu Yud shook his head. The legendary heavenly court is known as the ancient heavenly court. The force that wants to attack Nyan Changa this time is the heavenly court that was established by the later generations. Oh, since it's not the ancient heavenly court, then we don't have to worry so much, Jiangchen mumbled. Although it's not the ancient heavenly court, it should be related to it. Also, according to what I know, the strength and resources of this heavenly court are not below that of the supreme heavenly palace. Mu Yud said in a low voice. Upon hearing this, Jiang Chun was taken aback. This was because he still didn't know how strong the supreme heavenly palace's power was. I know about the supreme heavenly palace. I heard from an old dragon in my family that there are at least 10 extraordinaries in the supreme heavenly palace. Long Dade said in a low voice. Now, the number of extraordinaries in the world can be counted with one hand. However, the real number of extraordinaries is at least 100. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.